Greetings, mortals. I am Natus, the ruler of the underworld, and welcome to Volume 2 of my Villains Ranking series, where, in case you don't know, we go over a bunch of random villains across all forms of media and rank them on... and I rank them based on my own personal enjoyment, their designs, their story, and general anything I can really think of. There is really no limits in there, it's just giving you my own personal opinions on them. And now, before we get into this list, I would like to state something that should be very obvious to everyone at this point on YouTube. This is my own personal opinion. If you disagree with them, it's fine. You can explain your disagreements or justification why they should be ranked higher or lower in the comments below. After all, though, these are just opinions. No one should have the same opinion about every single thing. If there's a bunch of things that all people can agree on, then it actually says more how good or bad a character is. The more people agree on something, it's just more of an evidence of how great someone is. So with that said, let's get into the list. So we will first be starting off with one of the probably most iconic villains in media in general, well, in anime media in general, that is Jessie from Team Rocket. Prepare for trouble! So, yeah, Jessie. So, I feel like we are already kind of starting off with a hot take one, which is perfect because that is kind of what this list should be, a bunch of hot takes. Because despite Team Rocket being iconic, I don't think she herself really deserves the iconic spot alongside James and Jessie. You know, like, I feel like between the memes and the moments that Jessie and Meowth have, they kind of put Jessie below them, because I can't really think of that many moments where she has really, like, stood out, which is kind of funny considering the fact in, like, 3 different series, which is, I believe, around 6 seasons. I don't know. I have a hard time following Pokemon anime seasons because, you know, they are like different based on games, but then there's also like seasons in between. But regardless, in those, she had like 6 seasons where she was a coordinator, and she was in those competitions. So there was a bit more focus on her than Jessie. Then James and Meowth, who were just always kind of there. I mean, to be fair, they had their episodes, like in I believe it was Ruby and Sapphire, that there was like one episode where James was in that flying competition, and also they had their spotlight, but Jessie was the one that had like entire coordination contests that she was competing in and taking a focus on. So she did she do it in the... Okay, I know she did that in Black and White, but I'm kind of starting to question if she did it in the Ruby and Sapphire. Maybe it was just like she cheated in or to get in, because I don't think she won enough badges to get to the actual like big tournament. But whatever, she definitely felt like the weakest of the trio, so I don't think she deserves S tier because of it. And then we get to the fact that there were definitely episodes and stories with the Team Rocket sort of just became, you know, kind of a nuisance, especially in the earlier Pokemon leagues in the anime, where like Indigo League and they had like their own little almost, I think, didn't they like appear and interrupt every single Pokemon Indigo League episode? Like, I'm trying to remember. I think they were like in every episode, which made them very annoying. And there was probably episodes with them as the main fight that really felt unnecessary. The kind of just sort of dragged the story a bit. So I definitely feel like she should get downgraded because of it. So, B tier? Yeah, I'll go with B tier for now, because, like, again, she's a fun character, and she's, again, an icon. You can't really, like, mess with an icon too much. You have to basically put them in S tier, then just, like, keep trying to pile up bad things. So yeah. Anyways, after Jessie, we have Lava Bloom from Gushing or Magical Girls, and despite local Musica being one of my favorite characters, I think I had her in A tier in the previous video. Her lover isn't really in my opinion that good, which is sad because I really like shadow users. And to be fair, Lava Bloom is a fun shadow user. It's just from the cast, I don't think she's like that strong of a cast member. Probably on the weaker side, all things considered, which isn't really a bad thing. It's just she doesn't stand out that much. I mean, she's kind of the straight man when you really break it down for everyone, but everyone else being kind of the insane troublemaker. So it's kind of understandable with her, being not being anything that spectacular, but still, I mean, you have Kurumi and Karane from Gushing Over, from 100 Girlfriends that really love you. Those are both straight men, but they are easily the best amongst the best characters in the entire show. So, but yeah. Anyways, Lava Bloom. I don't want to put her next to Jessie, so I'm just gonna put her in C. Even though, maybe I would put Lava Bloom above. Back into B tier, assuming like there's like enough B tiers that would just and 2 weak C tiers to sweep it Wattpad, but for now I'm gonna put her in C. Then we have Charon from Fire Force. Or is it Charon? I'll go with Charon. So yeah, Charon. Okay, he's easily above Jessie. I would definitely say he's easily in this tier because he's he's an amazing character. He's a fun character. His fights are very entertaining. He really steals the show in a lot of aspects from Fire Force. Like whenever there's like a fight that focuses on him, he's not just in the background. He definitely steals it. Not to mention his devotion to Homea that we're gonna see. During the final season of Fire Force, I'm definitely excited to see them, and he definitely has a lot of cool moments. So yeah, Charon is an easy as A tier character here. Like, I don't think there's a debate. Which now raises the question where to put him. I don't want to already put an S tier character here, but I do feel like I can't really think of many like negative points to him. I'll put him in A tier for now, but I could easily put him in S tier after we get like a bit of an idea how these lists are going to look like. So yeah, anyways, then we have Geralt Valkyrie from Bleach, and yeah. So Geralt Valkyrie is... Alright, I don't want to go into spoilers because the final season hasn't yet come out yet. Well, the final part of Bleach Frozen Blood War hasn't come out yet, but... I'll be honest, Geralt Valkyrie is a very cool looking character and I do like his power and all. It's just that I don't really think he stands out that much from the rest of the Vandenreich and the Royal Guards. It's just... like, it feels like he was just there as like a better Yami, so the most popular characters in Bleach can use him as a, can fight one more time, because if they didn't fight, you'd have like 50 or so chapters since you had like your Kinpachi. Maybe 100 chapters since you had your Byakuya. Like, he's just there to be an opponent for them, really. Just there to get the fans of those characters their final great hurrah fight. So, yeah, I can't really put him high, and... like, he's entertaining. He's not negative, so I have to put him in C tier. I do wish that we would get a bit more. Hopefully in the anime we get a bit more of a lore what he is exactly, because there's like a lot of things about his design that makes him questionable if he's human or not. So, yeah. Anyways, then we have Shamha from Symphogear. So, yeah, Shamha. Now, I feel like a lot of people would want me to put Shamha in trash tier because she's a very, let's be honest, so a very poor antagonist, and the writers clearly being overly ambitious, so Yeah, she's definitely not, not the best villain in the series. But I don't think she really deserves trash tier because to me it feels like it's like, okay, you have 12, was it 12 episodes? Like, okay, you have a very small number of episodes with, or is it 13? Well, regardless, you have 10 to 13 episodes to be the final for a season, and you have like two twist villains who are barely in the season itself before they actively appear, more of like MacGuffin or someone that's mentioned, and you expect her to, and yeah, she's, you cannot expect a great character. It's kind of the same reason why twist villains don't work, is that they're revealed so late in the actual movie or show, whatever, to a point they can't really be fleshed out or, you know, really give you the feeling. And that's kind of thing with Shamha. She's the final boss more because she needs to be the final boss, because there's also like no other real like antagonistic force that can really get to the power level of everyone else. Like the Noble Red are meant to be losers by a lot of aspects. They're like the C or D list comic book characters in an anime. So you can't have them be like insanely powerful. Then you have the actual villain Fudo, who I think is also on this list, on this tier list, and we'll get into him later. But he's not. He doesn't have sympathy. He doesn't have any of those powers. So you can't really have him. So you can't really do much with him unless if you explain like he gets all of her power, which is I guess the only way you could really have made it. But they didn't because they want to get. I guess we want to make an odd twist, shocking surprise villain appear, or secret, or whatever villain. So we can't really have him. So we can't have him be the. So she's like very much lacking screen time. She's kind of like Kaguya in a lot of aspects. In fact, actually, alien, purely white skin, compared to Kaguya is pretty good. And yeah, I guess it's not like that nice moment for some reason of redemption, or not really redemption. Like it's kind of nice standoff with Miku, I believe was the main character's girlfriend's name, where she goes parts ways, but that's kind of nothing because again, I don't really care about Shamha. I would say I hate. So I think I'm gonna have to put an E tier. Like there's like nothing special. It's just she's a surprise villain without the ability to be a good surprise villain. There's nothing more you can really do. Alright, another controversial one. Back to back, actually. Say Ubiquitous from Akama Got Kill. So, Say Ubiquitous is probably like one of the most hated characters in anime in general. Like, I don't want to say she's the most. And I do feel like many people, when they like objectively have to rank the most hated, probably will not put her very high on that tier list. But she's definitely not a very hated character because she killed Shasha, I believe, because, you know, Shasha was a very cool and fun character, and then she killed her, which, okay, to be fair, killing off characters is just in general part with Kakama got killed, so I don't really blame her for killing Shasha. I do understand that. It's just the writer probably should have had a little bit more time before he had the members of Night Raid or getting killed off. And to be fair, Zero is a very fun character. I believe, I don't know where I saw this, but I know someone said, like I think someone was making a, alright, if you had to put 3 bullets, which one of these 3 characters would you pick? Because you have one of those videos, and someone defended Serio saying, alright, the only reason why we dislike Serio is because she's on the antagonist side. If she was on the protagonist side, she would be a fan favorite, which I do tend to agree to some extent, but yeah, I definitely think that she's a character who gets more hate than deserved. But as a character herself, I definitely like her design. I like her fighting style. I like her fight with was it Mina, the main love interest of Dotsuke. Definitely like Shirley or whatever. I definitely like her in that aspect. I do kind of think that she is a nice like little a nice little thing, a nice little way, different type of evil than Dr. Stylish in Asta, where she's more like evil in the absolute justice sense. A kind of perfect child in a sense. So, yeah, I definitely think she deserves a high ranking, just not anything crazy. Yeah, I'll put her on top of C for now, but yeah, I could definitely rank Serio above because she's a fun character and she has like very cool faces and very cool moments. So yeah, she definitely works. Plus that little puppy that she has, like, is also very cute and all. And playing with the children and everything. Yeah, she's definitely a very fun character. Who's who? Who's who is indeed here because he's really just an exposition machine if we're being totally honest. Like, he first kinda looked cool, like, oh, you know, this guy kinda had like the vibe of being like, oh, he is the Paro Sparrow of the Beast Pirates, but unlike Paro Sparrow, who I would question how he's not a young commander, who's who, I totally see why he's not a young commander. Like, he's just sort of there. He's really just there so Jimmy will have an opponent so we could get some exposition. Like, he's a former CP, not a CP9 member, I believe, but that's really just there for there to be a reason why they would dislike each other, but nothing else. He's just there, like, he's just nothing. Even in the current Yamato storyline where he reappeared, like, I kind of thought that he would reappear there, he's just sort of like become like a boss of like one of his like cat cafe on the mainland, and somehow imprisoned Ulti and Page 1, probably put sea prison stones on them when they were still recovering from Big Mom's attacks, if we're being totally honest. And then just getting like beat by Yamato. He's just nothing, really. I mean, he's cool enough, but that's it. Alright, Ramjet, from Transformers. I'm going to have to put him in D tier. Not because he's like, not because he's a bad character or anything. It's just that Ramjet is one of those Transformers who is just used as a minion for a lot of series. Like, he appears in quite a few of them. Like, I think he's a pretty regularly appearing character. He appeared in the original, obviously. He appeared, I think throughout, after his appearance, he was throughout the entire series. Like, I don't think he got killed off in the final season or in the movie. He then, I believe, was it Frost or something else? Like, I know in Armada there's one who is named after a conehead, but I'm not entirely certain if it's him or someone else, because I know Frost is named in Beast Wars, but I'm not sure what the name of the guy in the Armada is. Maybe it's Ramjet, maybe it's Frost. I think it's one of those two. But was it Dirge? Well, regardless, I'm not entirely sure about Armada, but then I think he's just a couple of repaints of Starscream of him. Then he reappears in animated, where they give him the aspect of in that version they made the Seeker just clones of Starscream with one aspect of his personality be very predominant. Meaning Ramjet's predominant trait is he's a liar, so everything he says is the opposite. Like, he will be asked by Lugnut to not tell him how he got captured by the Autobots, and Ramjet is like, don't worry, I promise, as he flies off, because he will lie, obviously. Or with Sentinel Prime, when he was doing his all underhanded things where he said, that's why I'm completely caught. And the Emperor's like, wait a minute, everything that Starscream says is a lie, by default. So, yeah, that one was definitely, I would say, the funniest and the most memorable one. And then in Cyberverse and Siege, was it? He's just sort of like a minion there. I believe there's a comic about him, a solo comic, where he tries to take over the Decepticons, but Megatron immediately knows everything about that scheme, and he just quickly dislimbs them. Like, Ramjet's gonna start his scheme, and then Megatron just like punches through him. He's like, did you really think did not foresee your schemes, Ramjet. You will never be the king. And then he just like this limb Sam just throws his limbs at every facility that Ramjet was using to create his like device to kind of show, yeah, Megatron knew everything about this. Like this isn't nothing. Like Ramjet was completely outplayed there. And I think those corpses are then like retrieved by humans to make their army of seekers or something. But regardless, Ramjet is just sort of a damn member. There's nothing really appealing about him. Like I wouldn't even put him up because his design is just another cone hair. It doesn't even work that well with colors. Alright, then we get into Bane from DC Comics, and it's just in general. So, Bane. Now, Bane's kind of an interesting character because despite being, I want to say, like one of the more fan favorite amongst DC fans, he's kind of like, it kind of feels like he's just known because his story broke the bat, and that kind of cemented himself as an icon, despite him as a character being very kind of bland. I believe a comment section on one of the videos who made a video on Bane, I think it was Serum something. He made a video one version of Bane, and then someone commented that the problem with Bane is he was invented for one specific storyline where it was supposed to break the bat. And then when you actually think about that, Bane's main fighting strength is actually very weak because he has a very obvious weakness with Venom that gives him super strength and all that. So once Batman finds out how to deal with super strength, he's kind of disarmed in a sense. So Bane suffers from that, and then like Killer Croc at least has super strength and can breathe underwater, especially in the more animalistic versions of him. But Bane does not have that privilege, so he's very limited as a character. Which is probably why some versions of Bane have him just not use Venom and just have him be like a pure martial artist or something, which is fine and all, but you kind of take away the guy's iconic thing, I mean, you really shouldn't be trying to make Bane a more, more of a mainstay, more of a serious threat if you have to like take away one of his defining features. It would be like making Killer Croc but taking away his reptilian appearance. So yeah, I don't think Bane really. So yeah, I definitely feel like Bane suffers a lot. Now let's go into some of the versions of him. The first version I saw was Batman Brave and the Bold, which I think he only like made one appearance in before the title card, or the intro, whatever you call it. So, and now he was just like a big threat for Wildcat, which was kind of more like meant to be like a joke because that version of Bane was like a very skinny guy, but then he like hulked out. So yeah, then we have the Batman's version, which was just like a very like, a very fun homage to like Breaking the Bat and all, because that was a bit more of a toy and action series type of guy. So he definitely was a bit. So there was a bit more of a cool aspect towards it. I do like the fact they gave him like red skin. Like I know it's a controversial thing, but I do feel like it's kind of nice to see it because there's a style that's supposed to make you super muscular. I don't think it's that crazy that would also kind of change your skin mutation and all that. So yeah, then we get to I would say he's like a pretty regular character to appear in movies. Like he appeared in Batman. Well, he appeared in the original series, but in the original Batman the Animated Series, he was just in I think was it a 2-part or just like one episode? I think it's like one of the last in the season, but whatever. He was just there as a Mexican luchador kind of character to have a fight with Batman, and then he I think reappeared in the Batman Adventures where he was in Barbara's nightmare, but and then he appeared in the Mystery of Batwoman movie. So where again he was kind of like, I think he was like literally at the third part of the story that he actually appeared and started getting involved in it. So yeah, he's kind of just like the muscle of movies and stuff. Like he does have his own things, like the Lego one of the Lego movies had him be like the main villain with the Batman's old part, Batman's tried to take over or getting a resource from the island that Batman was training with Deathstroke or something. So that was probably like one of the more times he was more, an actual antagonist, not just a muscle, but in most cases he's just a muscle. So yeah, Bane doesn't get impede. I think he's a very much a definitely I would put him above Geralt, but he's nothing special. Then we have a Annihilus from Marvel Comics. Funny that we had DC and Marvel together. I wonder how many times that will happen during these discussions. So yeah, Annihilus, one of the icons of Fantastic Four's Rogues Gallery. I would definitely consider him to be like number 4, possibly number 5. Definitely one of the more well-known ones. And I honestly always liked Annihilus from childhood. Like, I watched a lot of Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes, I believe was the title, was the full name of that series. And Annihilus was definitely my favorite amongst their Rogues Gallery that we've seen. Like, his way of talking was very entertaining, and his appearance was very badass. And I like the competition they had where he was saying they were having like a wording competition with Johnny, and Grandma said because squirrels are excellent spellers, with another just kind of jumping on the counter, and it's like, can you put it in a sentence? No. Which is funny because unlike Ronan and Super Skull, who knew what this competition was, I don't think Annihilus actually knew what the heck was going on the entire time. Because the first thing Annihilus did when he was there, it was literally just attacking the Fantastic Four. Anything else was completely unknown to him. So Annihilus was definitely a very fun character there. And then we also have his Avengers Ultimate's Heroes version, where he attacked the Negative Zone prison because he lives there and tries to, I think, eat them. So yeah, he was kind of just I don't think he actually speaks much in that episode. I think we get more of his mind and more of his personality, what he truly is from the leader, because leader was suffering from like brain attacks or headaches because of his presence and the way he controls those insects. So he's kind of just there, but and then he, I think, appeared in a few episodes in that like Marvel universe or whatever they were doing with the Ultimate Spider-Man, Avengers Assemble, Hulk, and Agents of Smash, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But I don't think he did anything major. Except, I guess, confirming that he's like one of the most powerful members of the Rogues Gallery, because I believe it was in the Grandmaster games that they had like him, Atuma, and Pharax, I believe. And those 3 were so powerful that the Collector had to go all out at his with his heroes, like, and they won. So yeah, I would definitely put him. So yeah, he was definitely a very powerful antagonist. There was also like that superhero squad where I think he was chasing after the Thanos' sister, I believe. I don't know if she was called Nebula, because comics change stuff and characters a lot a while. But anyways, he chases after Thanos' sister, which for some reason meant to the game developers that this means that Annihilus is working with her, but whatever. He was definitely a very fun character. I do want to see more of him. I'm kind of disappointed he's not the main villain of Fantastic Four, but whatever. MCU has been trash when it comes to their villains for a while. Anyways. Eric Headmasterson. Alright, this one's probably gonna be a very controversial character, but I do like Headmasterson. Like, yeah, he's supposed to be annoying. Yeah, he's supposed to be the modern, like, total own-edge gamer guy, and you can tell, but I do feel like he works sufficiently. Although, considering with that the source anime is supposed to take place, I do question if how his age, like, is he meant to? I mean, even if you try to like say, oh, he's a young adult, like 18, 20 something, I kind of question if he would really be that kind of style, unless, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's so anime it's meant to be taken a couple of years in the future kind of thing, with that like actual thing, or maybe it was like one of the kids that was writing for Headmaster Sen. But regardless, he was a very fun antagonist, and from all the like human antagonists in the show, I would definitely put him as my favorite. And I do see why he had like 3-4 episodes where he was kind of the main thread, while the other ones had like I think 1 episode for most of them, with 2 for the speedster. But anyways, I definitely see why he was like the main villain for quite a few episodes. And I'll be honest, this is a hot take, but I feel like he should have been turned to a transformer. I mean, it would just make sense. He's based on a product that had humans become transformers heads and taking over. That Headmaster even had a transformation function, so I think it would definitely made sense. I don't know how the writers would have done it without being too horrific. I guess they could have done something like he put like one of those spark fragments in his device to increase their power, and he could have like maybe when he tries to transform, he crushes that, and like the connection those two would transport his mind into the transformer, and then he'll like his body would be comatose, but he would be alive in the body, and he'll like be ow 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 ow. Why does it feel like someone crushed my entire body into a pancake? So maybe they could have done something like that, but I kind of get it. It'd also be very funny if they had him join the Decepticons and he would be like on their ship. Like I'm imagining him. I'm just like imagining him doing the breakout, being like, "Oh yeah, let's trying to like take over the bodies or something of everyone," but Hemi just like kind of kicked around by everyone because they know what his scheme is. But anyways, I like it, man. In the sense like I get why people would find him annoying, but I just sort of like him enough, or at least reasonably enough. Alright, Getten from My Hero Academia. Alright, immediately. Alright, so I guess it's time for Ice villains to redeem themselves in this tier list, because as you remember, like I said in the previous video, I really like Ice villains. They're probably one of my favorite types of villains. And Getten is an Ice villain, so I would really like to put him in very high, but unfortunately for Getten, he is not really enough in the story, enough for me to really rank him high, because the thing about Getten is like he appears in from the beginning of the My Villain Academia arc, but the thing is he's just sort of a big powerhouse to face off against Dobby. I mean, he's in the meeting room, so it's clear that he's highly ranked, but he doesn't really do much. He just fights with Dobby a bit, which is meant more to like distract Dobby, so a reason why Dobby doesn't just burn all of the Liberation Front members. Well, was it just Meta? The Liberation Army or something at that point? I don't know, something like that. He was just kind of there. Then we get like small little glimpses of his past, like Reed Astro uses Getten as a explanation for like the quirk evolutions. Like he got burned. Getten really liked Reed Astro, so he didn't like that Reed Astro got burned. So he used his powers to cool him to help his wound. So clearly Getten has a high opinion of him, but and then like we get like a scene where Getten goes against Gigantomachia, so at least gotta respect him. He has the balls to do that, as he says, "I'm sorry for making you worry, Reed Astro," because he's meant to be like the main combatant, and now this monster has been rampaging while he's been with dealing with Dobby. So and now has to abandon Dobby to go deal with him because he considers Gigantomachia the bigger threat between Dobby and him. So yeah, again, the logical thing. But anyways, then he's sort of just then he's kind of in the background for a bit, like in the meetings and stuff. But he doesn't like properly appear until the what was it called? I'm forgetting the name. Not the war. I think it's when they initially attack, they want to like stop the villains and capture them quickly. What they split themselves in 2 groups. One to go to capture the Doctor, then one to capture the Mental Liberation Front members. he was there where he was kind of like the main attack dog. Like he was the one that like appeared and like scream like he was the first or like actually like the only real Liberation Front leader that actually like engaged in that combat at the villa. Well, properly, you know what I mean, like against all the heroes. And focus on that as he like said, gave them orders on how to attack the heroes and to fight. But then he went to a battle against Samantha, surprisingly enough, and while we haven't seen much of the fight, I think the anime only had like the end portion of the fight itself about how they went and they basically knocked each other out. Like Gaten got like covered in the cement and got chopped, unable to do anything, while Samantha's got like pierced through by ice. So it was more of a double knockout, which I think was meant to be like of course saying yes, Gaten lost to Samantha's, but it wasn't like a thing where it's like Achad versus Redastro where Achad completely like demolished Redastro. Also, you could probably argue that Gaten would have won that fight, but because, well, the thing is both Samantha's and Gaten were kind of with very unable to use their powers to their fullest potential when you really break it down. But I don't know. I guess maybe the idea was supposed to be maybe Hikoshi wanted to kind of have like both Samantha's and Gaten to lose equally because both were not in the best situation. But regardless, that's about it for Gaten. But until like we get the end of the Dobby fight where we have we reveal that yes, he is in the same family as Todoroki's mother or Rei. He is from that family, of a branch family of that, which we had like this kind of nice moment where Gaten explains this stuff as Mr. Compass is like, oh, I see, why are you telling me this? As guys like, oh, we are gonna be here for a while, so I guess we might as well talk about stuff. Which is kind of nice that we get this, but I don't know, it just kind of feels like an afterthought revelation. Like maybe Hakoshi wanted to reveal it in a different way, but just decided to reveal it in story and not just make it like a little extra note at the end of the series or something. I don't really know. I really want to put Gaten in A or B tier. It's just that he doesn't get enough to really put him high. Alright, anyways, then we get Yuriko from No Longer Allowed in Another World. And yeah, this is definitely another very solid antagonist, I would say. I'll put her on top of B right now because I really like Yuriko. I like her design. It's a simplistic design, but it really works. I like her backstory with her sister, like being, a loving sister, but due to her sister's illness, she needed to like take care of her and had a lot of responsibilities, but she wanted to live her life normally and, be a bit of attention, but classic evil, terrible parents in anime trope told her, no, you are going to have to, the dad is going to be a douche to her, and yeah. And I do like how her defeat, or how she has like tears of pure black tears. Tears. It's a very like striking image, and also she's a necromancer, so she gets like a high score for me, like because I'm biased to necromancer antagonists. So yeah, so there's a lot of things to like about her. I like the way how they do it. Like we first get like a pure evil member of the 7 fallen angels or something they're called, or the fallen angels or whatever they're called, and then we get to like a more like not pure evil but more like a circumstantial, like she was a loving sister. Like her first reaction when she saw her sister was a loving embrace, but because of a misunderstanding and things not going well, classic misunderstanding, she thought that her master preferred the sister over her again, like another one of her like parental figures preferring her sister. So I guess she thought she killed her sister, and then she considered herself the most greedy individual, which, like, from greedy individuals itself, she was actually more justified because it wasn't like even greed, it was more like, give her something. If I'm not gonna give at least the basic of things, I might as well take it. So she kind of was just lashing out, but ultimately she and her sister reconciled. They were sent back home for a more loving family life together. So she definitely she definitely worked very well. Nothing insane like Charon, but recently, we have 8 from Ben 10 Omniverse. 8, 8. I'll put it in detail. Like, here's the thing about 8, 8 and 7, 7 and 6, 6, I believe. All 3 of them are cool looking characters and they strike and they have very good appearances and all. It's just, they're just bounty hunters who just serve to be like a punching bag for Ben. They're really nothing that special or anything really that noteworthy. I mean, I think people even hate the 8A and 7, 7, but they're just like nothing really. It's just, they're just like kind of there. They're just cool looking characters in the background. They are just very famous because 6 was a very famous villain in the original Ben 10. There's really nothing much more to say about him. So yeah. Alright, and wow, talk about going from a 1 to a 10 immediately with Astaf, a definitive icon of anime villainy. Because like, simply put, she's the face. Like, I mean, I would debate if she's the most popular female villain in all of anime because you have Medusa and you have Yagu from Kill la Kill. So there's probably there's a strong competition there, but from the currently on this list she's easily the most iconic character. And now let's go into this character because we have to be objective. We can't just put Astaf in S tier despite it being so fitting. But okay, we'll go into this. Alright, let's go over things. She's an ice type. I mean S tier. Her personality is fun. She's ruthless. Her design is amazing. Her personality is entertaining. Like, she is cold and the leader of a military as she should be. And she's even like a good leader because one thing that's made very clear in the manga is that she does have a very camaraderie perspective with her troops. While she doesn't take she does call people weak if they die. She does put respect to them. It's just a natural way of the world, which is explained in her flashback with her father, where a rival, when she was left, when she was doing some kind of thing outside the village, some of the rivals came. They killed her tribe and everything. And her father told her, no, it's fine, don't focus on revenge. It's just how the world works. The weak die, the strong live. So Astaf took that statement to heart and she lived by it. And even in the end of the story where she got hit by the one-hit kill sword, she, instead of dying normally, she just killed herself. Because she just killed herself. So yeah, she's definitely like a champ. And in the anime they changed that to her dying with Tatsuki, which seems kind of favoritism because she's the best character and all, and easily the most iconic character of Akame ga Kill. Let's not pretend like Akame is being asked up in terms of iconicity. So yeah, I really cannot think of a single fault to her. I guess you could maybe say she's a flat character a bit, but the thing is her villain archetype wouldn't really work that well if she was super over the top in terms of emotion. She works very simple. In fact, I think the most simplistic backstory explanation is more meant to be a reason why she doesn't change sides and all, because she loves Tatsuki and all that. So yeah. But anyway, she's definitely a nastier character. Then we have Kurumi, which kind of surprising that we have necromancers so close together and so close to Astaf, but whatever. I guess Astaf likes her necromancers. Actually, we had the Ice Necromancer. I guess 8 arrows in between there, but still kind of funny. We had this so close together. But anyways, the Kurumi, again, easy 80. Yurika worked very well as a villain in the beginning of the story, or the first season antagonist. Complicated but nothing special. And Kurumi works as a more late game antagonist. She's definitely she's a very nice design, simplistic but very functional design. I like how she fights and how the animator is very amazing. Probably one of the best in terms of animation. Is doing the anime. Why I do feel like that limit on the amount of people she can have that in her sword is a bit stupid, if you ask me. I mean, you literally have to kill people. Like, she literally makes puppets of beings weaker than her, so why would she have to have a limit to, like, was it 7? Something? I know it was like an insanely big number. I think it was like a very, like, maybe it was just in the double digits, or maybe it was like below double digits. But regardless, she's a very fun character. I like a little, like, quirk about eating, similar to how Kame was, so yeah. And I like her little sisterly bond with Akame, though I do think I do prefer her ending in the manga more than the anime, because in the anime it kind of felt like they had the general notes on how the story with Akame and Kurumi was gonna end, but they didn't know the actual ending because I believe the manga wasn't over yet. But a lot of the things a lot of the things in the anime go really well. Like, they are very much similar to the manga, so I'm pretty sure that the author gave them notes. So it's kind of like a thing where, alright, I'll do one ending with the manga, and anime will do another ending for the anime. So I do like the manga version better. While some people may say, oh, she lives, oh, she did this horrible thing, so she shouldn't live happily with Wave. I think it works better because, like, neither of the two really want to kill each other, and personally I do like the idea of just, no, we are not. You two are not killing each other. Neither of you two want to kill each other. If you two feel like you need to because of this sword, I will just break the sword. Because again, like, it's like one of those, like, if we want the two despised each other, to love each other, so why, it's like one of those things. Or we could just fake our deaths, destroy the katana's evidence, and go off. So I definitely like it. I like her relationship with Wave and everything. I do think she is a very sweet girl, and also I would definitely think she deserves A tier. I mean, she's no Asta, but, below Chara, I think it's fair. Acid Storm. Alright, Acid Storm. Alright, Cyberverse gave her a little bit more of a personality, and gave her a bit more of a character, with her being kind of like the scientist, I guess, of the Seekers, or a bit. But yeah, anyways, Acid Storm, similar to Ramjet, she's just sort of a their character a lot of times. She had like that iconic scene in the original series where she and two other Seekers with very, like, bright colors, like, did that, like, acid rain technique, which got them their names, everything. But then she didn't really do a lot. Like, she's definitely one of those characters you have to read comics to get a little bit more information. But even in the comics, she didn't really get much. Like, I think the only thing that's really iconic, I think the only thing that we got was, like, a little joke about, this Starscream paint job is ruining my identity as the green one, because Acid Storm is like the iconic green one. It wasn't until, like, Cyberverse where she actually got a bit more of her own character and stuff, with her being the second in command, kind of, with the under Slipstream and the scientist who worked on the Shockwave, but that's really it with her, nothing else. Alright, then we have Dr. Stylish, one of the more pure evil villains from the Jaegers. And he, like, yeah, I'll put him in C tier. Like, I want to say this Dr. Stylish was like a kind of very bad character, just he was a very, he was entertaining at the beginning. I do like how they always kind of, like, for a good chunk of the story, they always called back to him. Like, you have characters saying, oh, we're talking about, oh, this bastard, oh, what kind of sick things did this guy do, oh, these are some of his creations, oh, let's upgrade his creations, or that Alice in the Wonderland character being like, it's too bad that he died before I met him, but just his research alone is good enough for my purposes. So, yeah, he was definitely a character who was like, yeah, who had a lot of impact despite being killed off earlier. He's like the first confrontation with the Jaegers and the Night Raid. So, yeah. And he was a standard entertaining evil scientist. Nothing really stand out as, but really fun. Although it is kind of funny how when you think about it, in retrospect, he entered the team, and the first thing he did in the team, or like one of the first things he was contributing, was like, You're a hot young man. Thank you. Would you perhaps want some of my? You can make it even more perfect if you want me to. And then like Balls, he was like, oh, he works in the incineration squad. Not my type. Not my type at all. I mean, the anime may have exaggerated his love for man or his gayness or whatever it's considered now YouTube appropriate term to use. Oh, I as well myself probably did as well, but you know that's kind of like he was fun. Like he was an entertaining character. I do kind of wish that he would be more in the story. Like I do kind of feel like a comic kill should have had like before they start killing off the Jaegers or the Night Raid, they should have had like a little bit more of a buffer between them. But I do understand it's not a very long series, so they had to like do things relatively quickly. Then we have Adam from Symphogear. He has another last name as well, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. It's probably a very long one. And yeah, I'll put him top of the. Adam's another character I think gets a lot of hate, but I think that when they introduced him in the beginning, the way they was first being introduced in the season, it was actually very entertaining. Like how he basically showed up out of nowhere and then just showed all his stuff to every woman on the battlefield, and then just obliterated the entire line and turned it into gold. Like he was definitely a very style character, but then you know the story was starting to move more towards the end, and he kind of lost all that charisma. Like I don't know why, but for some reason when he later got involved with the actual final stages were being set, that's where he kind of didn't stop doing kind of anything. He was just there at that point. I mean, I guess he kind of was foreshadowing Shanghai and everyone, but that's pretty much it about him. He was nothing real that special later. And one of his name being Adam is supposed to be a reference to the first man, Adam. But that's for anyone else to decide. Alright, then we have Ellie from Shell House. Or is it Elias? I don't. It doesn't really matter. She's alright, so she's one of Edward's main helpers or assistants, basically. And similar to her role, she's kind of like just there. She's kind of like meant to be someone for Edward to bounce off of and be kind of the more brutal member, or the more bloodthirsty member, if you want, whatever you want to call it, of Edward's little group. Despite her, which one meant to be there because of a kind of a bit of a contrast, because like she has this very elegant bird-like aesthetic to her, and then she's just like was the one that saw the whole medical division. But the irony is that she's kind of like a bit more bloodthirsty, because when it comes to like an insult or someone, especially like we want to kill this person, she's the one that will say this. So it's kind of a bit of a contrast, but really she doesn't really do much. I don't know if it's gonna be if her character is gonna get a bit more explored, because one thing Shell House does now, especially recently, it's like they explore these small background characters and give them a bit more depth. I'm not entirely sure if Ellie will get this, because the only depth because there's a lot of characters to go over, and then we still have some of the big hitters. So I'm not entirely certain if we're gonna how much we're gonna explore her. She definitely is visually very striking, but to be fair, everyone in Shell House is visually very striking about there being just pure blackness in normal clothing, and just kind of sets the atmosphere. But yeah, I can't really put her very highly. I'll put her in top of D tier, because she does have a presence, just it's nothing really to write home about yet. Hopefully we'll get more of her, but so far she's just sort of up there. Alright, then we have Alderaan from Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. Alderaan. So let's start simple. Alderaan is a giant a giant plant dragon or tree dragon or whatever you want to call him. Dragon, like he's so fit, and he's your classic introductionary big powerhouse monster. Well, he may not have been the first dragon god that the main characters went up against. He was definitely he is the first one they properly defeat because Melusha or Melope or the water dragon god was I think defeated by Ignia to like be kind of like a scaling kind of set and to be a very cool introduction, but he wasn't like a very big antagonist force, while Alderaan is just a straight up antagonist to beat. And yeah, Alderaan. It's not hard to talk about Alderaan's character because while he has his dragon form, his human form can barely even be called human because he makes like 5 seedlings of himself, which they are just sort of, just 5 seeds. There's a little bit about their personality, but most of their personality can basically be dived into what their power is. So it's kind of difficult to really like say if that's like, is it a power or is it part of his personality? Like the closest thing to his personality is the head of that group, which is also named called Alderaan. But is that Alderaan or is that just like the main, like the closest personality of the leader that Alderaan thinks of himself? But yeah, he's an like I want to put him in E tier, especially since the rest at least have something. But he's just sort of there, even now in the story where he's been revived. While VNS also didn't get a lot of a boost, at least VNS got to show off the human form. At least did some bits of show us a bit of his personality. But Alderaan is just sort of like a bit. It's just there for the Orochian battle royale or whatever, or battle to take place. He doesn't even engage in the form. Hell, he was actively used as an anti-feat for the he's basically there just to show off the power of the demons by saying, "Oh, we already defeated that Alderaan. Oh, you know that thing you guys were struggling against? Yeah, we defeated that." So he's just sort of there, and now he's just kind of like a statue for something. And now he's, I'm guessing, going to be defeated by Selene. But yeah, that's about it for him as a character. So I can't really put him very highly. I guess I'll put him above 88 at least, because at least he has a little bit of more personality than 88. Not really a compliment, but kind of understandable. So yeah, 80 for Alderaan. Anyways, then we have Alejandra for Total Drama. So, Heather's an iconic villainess from Total Drama, obviously, but Alejandra's, I would say, a good second, number 2, which makes sense because the two of them are in a relationship. So, automatically, he already has to be discussed in the top tiers of Total Drama. So, he has to be in the higher ends, but is he that good? Because here's the thing about Alejandro, he does the classic, like, oh, he's a very attractive male character who's able to, like, manipulate women because of that ability, because every character, like, it kind of gets swayed by him. And also he has, like, a very charismatic personality to a point that you believe him even though you really shouldn't believe him. Like, even when he wanted payback on Owen for damaging his eye to the point he had to wear an eye patch throughout the entire episode, he's able to, like, convince Owen with it's Owen, so it would not be that difficult to, to be fair, he didn't make a backup plan about how to punish Owen. Like, he let the plan be, but then Owen said, "I saw you. You had your eye open." But then Alejandro's like, "Oh no, you were just imagining things. I mean, it was the middle of the night, Owen. Owen." You probably thought was an eye open eye was probably just a reflection of the moonlight. Or something like that. Because I'm here that came to help you. I was the only one that was actually looking for you. So, I'm the only true fan you have here. Because he was kind of manipulating things. So he was like, oh, the reason why he volunteered to go rescue Owen because of him. So, and he does stuff like that throughout the entire season. And he manipulates all the team victory to a point that he to the point that they could basically completely eliminated by him alone. Like easy got eliminated. He got eliminated because she failed. Lindsay got eliminated because she failed the challenge. But regardless, he was definitely meant to be a very big threat, and he is being taken. Though you could probably debate how much he was being a threat because he he had a lot of pre-knowledge and general good vibe, or he was a more unknown figure because, like, the manipulations and first only work if you don't know that it could happen, like a lot of them did. Although, surprisingly enough, he still had, like, a huge number of supporters even though you'd think anyone who got eliminated would probably watch all the episodes prior, but whatever. He got he still somehow managed to be cosmetic. All Stars, I don't want to say they ruined him too much because All Stars kind of ruined everyone, but I mean, I guess it's that very stupid scene where he's like, "The truth is in the art. Truth is in the art." Because why would you want to reveal that way? Why are you keeping it hidden? It's not like you have some kind of life that honor thing, but whatever. His whole like parody of Star Wars as Darth Vader scene is a very nice one as well. So I definitely have to put him in A tier. Maybe I should put him in S tier, but does he have any like? I mean, the way how he dealt with Mal was a very dumb thing. Kind of felt like stupidity for the sake of stupidity. That he generally just had like a lot of losses. Like he eliminated things, but he just got losses a lot. Like at least Scott, in all the flaws with him, at least the guy was actively planning to have his team lose to get eliminations in. Alejandro's there was really no reason why he had to lose that many times, and he continued losing even after Team Victory got eliminated. So I don't even it kind of takes no one of his intimidation. But alright, then we have Amazer from DC. I'll be honest, outside of Justice League Unlimited and that the DCU's version of Amazer, all of them are just like punching back villains who are just there to like be defeated, be a reasonably high threat for the heroes to overcome. But outside of that, they are nothing. Like there's an EU version with actually be like super OP and broken to a point no hero can beat him or be a challenge to him. To the point the only way they can really deal with him is just logic him out of killing them all. It's probably like is easily the only real intimidating version of him. Well, the other ones are just sort of there. They are a half an episode threat, basically. But unfortunately, that does take away some of his threats, so I'm just gonna have to put him in D tier. Because if there's like more, I mean, if there's adaptations or like versions of ranking, this version, Amazos this year would probably be the only one that's actually in the high tiers. But the rest just completely ruin him. Alright, Atrocitus from DC again. So, Atrocitus, he's the leader of the Red Lantern Corps, and in the Green Animated Series, which is CGI for some reason, but whatever, he is the main villain of, I want to say season 1, but I think I've also heard there's like only season 1 for the show, but I don't know. Regardless, for the first part of the story, he's the main villain who wants to revenge against the Guardians for basically destroying NetherRealm or whatever, his space actor and the space actor of that, but whatever was previously a noble goal that can be justified, that's even what Hal does in the end. Like he says, "You are right. The Guardians are guilty, but they should, make up for their mistake. They should admit it and help fix it." But Justice was just in blind rage. He couldn't really be reasoned with. So he just responded with, "Oh, you can help, Green Lantern. You can help with you had joining joining the Pirates of Overlord, that," which he didn't go in the fight. And gets defeated. But Hal does convince the rest of the Red Lanterns to take up on their offer, and they do. And the Green Lanterns agree to help fix the rim, which I think makes sense. And I guess this is also the reason why they may not be the completely antagonistic force, because in Justice League action, at least, when Lobo stole some of their Red Lantern rings, they were first negotiating about this stuff because they didn't really know all the details, but then Lobo was kind of pushing them to fight each other while he gets the power gauntlet or whatever he was getting to make himself the strongest, and then they team up against Lobo. So there is some attempt at making them more, kind of like, I don't want to say they make them like this weird ally, but also antagonistic kind of side, but it's more, there is a bit more of a complexity towards it, probably because Red Lanterns and Green Lanterns shouldn't really be like overwhelming one another, so it's like more of an equal kind of bout. But there probably are stories the way they're just antagonistic, but to be fair, there's like, I think like a lot of characters from the protagonist side who joined the Red Lantern Corps. I think Guy Gardner and Supergirl both joined Red Lanterns. But anyways, onto Atrocitus. He's a very threatening antagonist. I definitely like him from a Green Lantern's villain. While he's not replacing Sinestro as an antagonist, I don't really mind him. Like, I don't really mind Red Atrocitus as like this bulky powerhouse antagonist from the Green Lantern. For Green Lantern's antagonist, like, I would probably hate a lot of other similar type of characters in other Rogues Gallery, or not care about them. I definitely like Atrocitus. I think making him the main villain of the first part was definitely a smart choice and very entertaining. He's definitely more of a powerhouse and powerful antagonist, although funny enough in the Lego game they actually made him more of a manipulator. But whatever. He was definitely fun. Also his little relationship with Daxstar, the cat, is also very funny because like you have this monstrous figure, but then you have him just like always kind of playing with the little kitty or having a kitty around him. I don't know, it's just kind of funny. It's not meant to be a cat to relieve stress or something like that, but yeah. Alright, then we have Aura Bella Flora from Overlord. Okay, I'll be honest, I really don't like Aura. Like, I mean, I'm generally a big fan. I generally like characters from Overlord, but Aura just doesn't do it for me. She's just there, like, I get all characters praise Ein, but for some reason when Aura praises Ein, just feels very annoying. Like, when she praised Ein in volume 15, so sort of was like, okay, is this all you do? Like, are you just gonna keep praising Ein's? And I think the problem with Aura is that all other characters have their character flaws and character quirks. Aura doesn't really have anything that's really like just child's goofy innocence. Like, there's just nothing that would really make her stand out. She's just there, and whenever she does appear, it's like nothing really that stand out. Like, at least Sheltier and Albedo have flaws. At least they have like over the top reactions. At least there is something with those two, and Gokai's as well, Mara as well. Like, everyone has something. Demiurge at least has his sinister vibes and how he overthinks Ain's actions. But Aura is just, well, she's just there and nothing else. She's not entertaining. She doesn't have that charisma to make her work. And wait, was she the one who was supposed to have just been invented for the light novel? Because I know in the web, like, I know there's a few characters they added from the web novel, but I'm not entirely sure if she was added in or Mara, because I think one of them was added, but I can't remember. I think Albert was also added, but Mara, but Aura just not. I'm not entirely certain which one was added in, but I would not be surprised if Aura was added in, or if Mara was the one added in. I wouldn't be surprised if Mara got a lot more of the character that's supposed to be with the twins, with him getting the most, well, Aura is just there. I just don't, there's just nothing to really like about her. So yeah. Anyways, then after all, we go back to DC with the Clock King. So, Clock King. Probably the first hero villain a lot of people saw since, let's be honest, so he seems to appear just as much with Batman as he does with Green Arrow, or at least more so in media. Probably because Green Arrow, outside of one TV series, he hasn't really appeared, well, he hasn't had his own, many of his own projects. As he also had the DC showcase, but they went with called Vertical and Malcolm. But yeah, whatever. So Clock King. So what can I say about Clock King? I mean, I don't want to say Clock King's versions are really bad. It's just his iterations are like just too bland. Many of them, like the Batman animated series, he's just a normal dude. I think they added glasses on him, making his character about revenge against one guy. Which, to be fair, it is kind of done in a very crazy manner because it's meant to like showcase how he's so obsessed with revenge, despite it being not really the guy's fault. Like, there's no way the guy could have schemed anything, but that version just sort of there and bland. Then you have the 90s version, which is, I think, was told to be like Mariano's brother for some reason, who was a bit more clock themed. It was better than above it. I would say it was probably my favorite version, purely because they gave him like a full royal clock design, and when he talked, he had like a very funny and like a very fun way of talking. I think they gave him, I think he had like a French accent or something. I'm not entirely sure which accent they gave him, but he's definitely a very fun. But he's definitely the most fun in that version, especially with his like clock puns, like when he had Green Arrow and Batman after all, he was like tick tock, pretty soon, in 2 minutes, in 10 seconds, you two shall both be the time will be your time's over or something. Like, it's been too long since I've seen that clip, but I know that he was like a very funny clip there. Modern adaptations, then he, I think, had a couple of more adaptations, but none of them were really memorable. I think in the Harley Quinn animated series, they made him and Riddler an item, but I mean, that's it. Like, I don't think there's anything else to make him really stand out. So you probably should go. So you probably go here as an antagonist, which is sad because he's like I want to say one of the mains of Green Arrow's Rogues Gallery. It's kind of sad to think that he doesn't. So he should be so low, but to be fair, I feel like a lot of Rogues Gallery from Green Arrow and Wonder Woman probably gotta be ranked very lowly because they don't really do much of anything. So yeah, sorry DT for clocking. Alright, then we have Cinder from Lego Ninjago Dragons Rising, and I really like Cinder in season 2 where he appeared. Like, he had like this kind of, like a interesting dynamic. He had this like interesting rivalry with Jordana, about both of them kind of being like the kids who would not impress their father, aka Lord Raz's character. So he's definitely very fun there, and whilst I had some complaints about Cinder being a little too comedic in the second part of season 2, with him having his beauty sleep with a like hot was it a heart-shaped or pink face mask? He said, "I need my beauty sleep." Or when he was like acting, "Oh no, they are so angry at the fact that I beat Wildfire that they are attacking me." I had some comments about that, but I think it kind of worked. He also had like that kind of like douchebag personality at the beginning, which I think it also helped him. In fact, he was kind of more like a similar type of character to the main characters. He was kind of, I want to say he was like a contrast towards Aaron, but I think he definitely could have like worked as sort of that type of character, especially since you have like one of those moments where you kind of have a bit more of a realistic scaling when you have him like the new Elemental Master Wind. She's an unexperienced Elemental Master Obviously, Cinder, who is also a new Manifest of Smoke, with more skill, would be able to like beat her because he has been, at least what we can assume, trained professionally by the Wolf Clan or Lord Ras. So he obviously could beat her. He beats her, but then he goes up against Kai, who easily beats him until he goes into a Shadow Spin, where he beats them. So I would say they handled him very well, but I do feel like his defeats after certain point got a little bit like too easy. Like in the end of this first part, they just sort of imprisoned him and then kept him away from the Shadow Spin mask, so he couldn't really do anything. Which, yeah, then they had him like get beaten up by Noct, which to be fair is a good like intimidation feat, but it really didn't really do much. Then he beats Wildfire, which is good, but then he gets beaten by Nia, but it doesn't get punished the same way Jay did, maybe because he actually got, maybe in the second round while Jay lost in the first round from Nia, but I don't know, I don't really understand why he was, I don't know, it just feels like he could have done more with him, and then he just sort of appeared when Lord Ras was calling for all the Wolf Clan members to go up against the Forbidden Fight, which is kind of ironic considering what we learned about the Wolf Clan in the comics and the fact that Wolf Clan was kind of was created by the Forbidden Fight. But regardless, they do control of the Wolf Clan and him as well. And then he was like just kind of a mindless brute that got defeated by the Wind Master to get like a little payback at him for beating him previously. And then he was just in the Vanstone prison cells at the end, and we haven't seen him since. I don't know if he's gonna come back. I feel like he's gonna come back since modern Ninjago seems to like wanna like reuse characters a bit more than it previously than the previous seasons of Ninjago did. So I wanna say he's gonna return, but only time's gonna tell us when he's going to return. Alright, then we have Balls from Akamaga Kill. And I'll be honest, I really like Balls as a character. I like his design, I like his little quirk about being like this very intimidating, very horrifying looking character. Like when we first saw him, he valued some kind of personal torture or something. Which, granted, we didn't learn that he was an arsonist, basically, who was spreading everything that the Empire didn't like. But, I mean, not bad, but it's still kind of a nice his way of being handled was definitely very nice, especially with his like little thing about the family. Like we want to be like the supporting there to help him deal with all this trauma, but then he's like, "Oh, I appreciate it, but you see, I have my wife and my daughter, so I'm very so I have all the support I really need. I appreciate the support, by the way." Which Gorman then comforts, waving like, "Don't worry, you tried." So it's definitely he's definitely. So the contrast is very, very comical. It works for me. And I do feel bad that he died. Like, I get it. And he himself probably understands that he needs to. Like, he has committed awful, awful, awful things. Like, he literally was burning people alive. But still, you feel bad for him. Like, you wish he would reunite with his family. And learning what happened to the family in the manga is just... he did not deserve. They did not deserve that. Like, oh my, what the hell was that for thinking that? Like, that was one of those really just there to be edgy. Like, that was a story that was meant to be just there to be edgy. Like, I'm telling you that was just too much. Just too much. That was overkill. Yeah, but I'll put Balls in B. I generally liked him. There was nothing negative I want to say about him. And I really wish we got more of him. Simply put, I just wish we could see him more in action. Alright, then we have Marvel's Bushmaster. And yeah, so Bushmaster is one of the members of the Serpent Society. And you know what? For a character who... Alright, so it's kind of hard to talk about Bushmaster because it's like one of the more like background villains in terms of importance. But basically, Bushmaster, well, in the comics, he's supposed to be like a normal kid that got who was following his brother in terms of like going to the criminal underworld, and he doing like uh, doing one of their like smuggling operations. The police came, and because of fear and panic, he got off the boat and save himself so he doesn't get punished by his brother, because his brother beat him previously when he got caught by a shop clerk. So in terms of not like spilling any beans, so there'd be any possibility of spilling any beans, he just decided to jump. But unfortunately, the police came with a water boat because they were shipping for boat. So he got caught up to a point that he lost his lower portion, or just his legs. I think lower portion in general, but he might have also lost the legs and arms. But then I think Sidewinder came to offer him a new robotic new limbs to replace his old ones. But due to being a villain, he didn't manage to have that when they made replace. I mean, give him like snake theme, because he was making like snake themed villains. And he got like a robotic snake tail and robotic arms, which, as you can imagine, were very different from this version from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where he's, I wanna say, a human that got turned into a snake and then was given robotic limbs. But honestly, I would not be surprised if he was also just a snake that got human mutation and got robotic limbs, because whenever they got destroyed, the instinctual reaction is like immediately to snake attack. Like there's not much like fun when it comes, like there's not much like big reaction from losing the limbs or any kind of big thing. It just kind of naturally goes into like a snake attack, which to be fair, but it is very limited, but still. So yeah, he's not a very he's not very simplistic but understandable character. He has a bit of a tragic backstory, but not completely not very insanely tear-jerky. But yeah, he's just sort of he's sort of like a ram job where there's a little bit of a personality, but nothing really insane, especially in It's My Series, where he's more one of the more animalistic ones. So yeah, and he just kind of feels the rings. Alright, Carmine Falcone from DC. Carmine Falcone. I'm pretty sure the character is meant to be a reference to Don Vito Corleone from The Godfather. At least the designs generally seem to be kind of going in a similar direction. But yeah, he's just sort of a standard stereotypical mafia type of guy for the mafia stories. Like, he's nothing really to write home about that much. I mean, granted, depending on which version you go, he's either gonna be like a joke or played straight. Although I think in the most media he's played more as a kind of as a joke, except for the Long Halloween. I think in one movie, Batman humiliates him multiple times throughout it. Which, to be fair, even in the Long Halloween, he gets kind of easily overrun because he's just kind of an old mafia guy. He's nothing special. It's most of his stories seem to be like either take place before Batman, like Gotham, he's antagonist, but Batman is long before he becomes Batman. He's just Bruce Wayne at that point. I don't even think does Bruce even meet Falcone, Carmine during this show's run? I mean, probably. I mean, after season 1, Falcone is basically just a cameo appearance when you really break it down. But yeah, and in some other versions, he's basically like trying to adapt to the supervillain lifestyle, because the supervillains sort of do not really, kind of make the mafia all useless. But it's very much nothing. Like, I get what they're kind of going for with them, but he's just, he fits the style, but doesn't mean that he kind of really works in a rose gallery. So I guess I'll put him in D tier, because at least when he's being played straight, he's like a good reference to The Godfather. But outside of that, he is very much a nothing character. So, and yeah. Anyways, then we go into Arazia from DC. So, in case you probably forgot about her because for some reason Wonder Woman villains do not get any spotlight, was an orphan, well, a girl that lived in a village during, I think, World War II it was, maybe World War One, and they were running away from that war, but unfortunately the ship that was supposed to transport them to be refugees somewhere else I think it was got boarded by pirates, and then the ship was left to sink, or maybe some missiles I think fell on the ship that caused sink. Well, regardless, the ship sank. She lost her mother, and then got to Themyscira thanks to the ship's captain, then being a decent upholding citizen that he is, thought I gotta put the child on a plank, Titanic reference probably, and then help and then swim and myself and her to the shore because he saw Themyscira. He got there, but unfortunately he got a heart attack before he could, get any help, so he just died there, but the Anne's mother did not reference him or mention him. So Erisa, because she was already there, was just raised to be an Amazonian, and I think she did get some of the Amazonian powers. It was stated that she wasn't like a full complete Amazonian yet, but I think it was like she was in a place where she was eventually going to be becoming, but instead of becoming an Amazonian, she decided to kill man because he's a toxic misandress who found a way to make a poison gas weapon that could kill all men in the world. And that's the story. I think the story was called, episodes were called like Furies, where they make that. And she uses Solomon Grundy and Copperhead, Shade, and a few other, and Star Sapphire, and another girl. I don't think it's Katana, but she kind of resembles Katana in a lot of aspects. And they do make the poison, and they do spread the poison throughout I think at least, I don't think America, but in the city that they were acting first. And that poison is very effective, although I do have to question on how the heck can a poison that's supposed to kill all man work on a Martian and a Kryptonian, the same way as it works on a human. But I suppose you have to kind of, I suppose it's meant to be like, we need this had to be our Wonder Woman and Hot Girl storyline, so we needed to get all the male characters away. They would just complicate the things. So yeah, and Arazia thinks it's like a noble goal and wants Deanne and Hippolyta, Deanne's mother, to join her in her cause, but they don't because they have enough common sense. And then they even try to sway her by revealing the Amazonian queen, revealing that, oh yeah, you lived only because a man sacrificed his life for you. You may want to get revenge on them because, and merely the wars and all the piracy and all that stuff, because whenever there's gonna be a big conflict, it's the conflict itself is going to have more likely to have more men in it than women. I mean, granted, I think we've moved on as a society to the point we can agree that women can commit just as horrible actions as men can. It's just that, we still have the stereotypes about the male guy being the one. So, which is understandable, but basically, they reveal that, but Arazia doesn't really get the message. She just sort of thinks, just because one man was a good person, that doesn't mean that all their sins are erased completely. Being oblivious to the fact that Superman is a good man, Batman's a good man. The reason why she got in conflict with Superman and Batman was because, I'll remind her for something, forget, was because she was stealing stuff. By definition, she has no right to criticize Batman and Superman's morality. But regardless, she continues with it, and then when they try to stop her, but unfortunately they don't. Well, they do stop her from completing her goal because the bomb I think it was like the bomb that they were planning to use that would wipe out all man got activated inside the ship, so instead of like spurting, it just sort of like was just a giant explosion where she was in, and then she died in that explosion. And then there's like I think they said one guy's have mercy or something on her soul or something, but yeah. No, I understand why Aracia was not brought back because she's a very limited character when it comes to how much you can use. So like you can only have her find so many weapons or make so many weapons that can kill all man. Not to mention you probably have to question. Not to mention if you have any kind of like logic, you probably would start questioning or siding with stuff after like the first, after you know a few of the betrayals, because like let's be honest ourselves, a villain is just like to betray you if you are no longer useful to them. In fact, the swordswoman member even does actually betray or abandons her at least, because like she like puts on the like Jetpack says, "Oh, I like you, but not that much that I would be willing to die." So she's just abandoned by her. Stuff I think gets knocked out in the water or something because when they were going after them. But yeah, Arisia, she wasn't like a one episode villain, and I kind of wish they would do more. Like, I'm not saying that like there's only one story. They could definitely do more of a story, especially in modern times where we have like a lot of like we have. Well, I won't say a lot, but like it's not uncommon to have like false Me Too stories, or like there's definitely things you can do with Arisia, but you know there's more of a limitation. That's in Wonder Woman antagonist, and she's kind of like just an evil Wonder Woman in a lot of aspects. So you can't really. So there's again kind of a limited thing, but I do think we can use some more. But as a character as herself goes, she's just too standard, honestly. Like I don't really hate her or dislike her. I don't want to put her in trash for being a misandress, because really misandry does deserve to be in trash tier, but it's not because she's a bad antagonist, you know? Like, she's serviceable. I guess she's also not very entertaining. Well, these two. You know what? I think I'm just gonna put her in ET, like, in the bottom of ET for now, because, like, it's not, again, she's not that bad, it's just, she's nothing really special. El Chupacabra from Scooby-Doo Monster in Mexico. That's not how El Chupacabra looks like. Is there a chance that this El Chupacabra is just some kind of misunderstanding or confusion amongst the notes when it comes to making monsters? Because the movie right next to Monster in Mexico has vampires which look far more close to what El Chupacabra should really look like. Possibly. So why? So yeah. Honestly, I gotta just put out Chupacabra in trash tier. I'll be totally honest. Like the design is a complete mistake. Like they had to be in some kind of notes issue. The motive behind the reveal is basically the only actually properly introduced character in the story that's a foreigner, because like one thing that they do a lot is they mention like the true enemy is from outside of Mexico or something like that. So the only character outside the main gang that's actually been introduced, who's said to be from outside of Mexico, kind of obvious. Like even the red herring was just some guy who appeared like once trying to talk with them, but not them not wanting to talk to him. Like we don't even like get like a real understanding. Like it's literally like, we don't like you, so you must be suspicious of him situation. So yeah, it's a very like the mystery isn't really there. The goal is just, it's just a standard scheme about like, oh, we'll get people to run, we'll scare people away so we could get their land or whatever. Like it's just your standard Scooby-Doo thing. El Chupacabra's intimidation isn't that special. Like I just gotta put El Chupacabra in trash tier. Just like there's nothing really unique unique about it. It's just, I mean, at least Arazia is like just bland at worst case scenario, but El Chupacabra is just a nothing. So yeah, I gotta put El Chupacabra in trash tier. Cinder Fall from Ruby. Alright, if this was volume 1 to 3, I would probably put Cinder somewhere in A, B, T, but because Cinder, for some reason, I really don't know why the writers decided this, but for some reason the writers decided to make Cinder a more like Shigaraki type of villain, where they like slowly rise or like they grow alongside the characters. Well, not, you know what I mean, like they fail but they become strong in a sense, like the main characters do, but it's more like in a different manner. They kind of go with that with her. Ever since then, I think she kind of like lost a lot of her edge, because I mostly don't understand why did they go with that. Like in the volumes 1 to 3, she was like controlling, she was cool-headed, she had like a lot of schemes, like she was very much, you know, she was very much in charge. But then volume 4 and onward, like, one, I don't understand how she got hurt. Like, I get like the arm thing because Ruby or Mawai cut the arm off, I'm assuming at least. But then you get like, when you actually think about it, like Ruby's eyes go silver, and then like all goes to white, which surprises Cinder because she has no idea about that. Which I guess this means that she wasn't warned for that from the Silvers. That's not something that Silvers do. But then we see that like, the next time we see that she has like one arm, or at least like only one arm. She probably has the Grim arm already, but you know, I mean, just has like one of her arms because she is all hidden. Is not really able to talk and has a scarred face. But how did she get those injuries? I mean, even if we assume that Ruby goes into some kind of comatose Ultra Instinct form, which would grant her the ability to beat Cinder or something, Ruby doesn't. I guess maybe you could say that she got blasted into her face with some dust powder, but like I don't really know. I mean, we've seen the Civilized from that always just, you know, damaging Grim. I don't think we've ever seen them like working on humans, so I don't really understand how she got those injuries. It just feels like it was meant to be there to put Cinder down a bit more. But I don't know, that decision really doesn't work well with the volumes, with the first 3 volumes of Ruby. And honestly, even then, I think she it really lost some of her style, you know? Like, it sort of became like she fails too many times and too much. Everyone else succeeds, but she gets the credit for it, which I do understand the idea for her type of character, but it doesn't really work because, I mean, because it just doesn't really make sense. Like, to be fair, she does makes plans that do, while they rely mostly on everyone else succeeding, it's not complete. They do still work, but it's just they don't work on her end. Like, she's the one that lacks all the plans. Like, she gets defeated by Penny and everyone, and then Penny, and then she gets knocked down and saved by Emerald. Neo gets beaten up, and then she goes to she gets talked down by Salem and everything, and then even in the end, she doesn't get the main powers that she's been craving. She does succeed in kicking all the Team Ruby down, but she does get the relic, but the relic's last wish is wasted. So I guess she at least got that, but she killed. She allowed it so Watts could be killed, which probably took away one of their assets. Like, I really feel like they just. I really feel like they just ruined Cinder. I'll be honest with you. I just gotta put it in E tier. Like, they just ruined Cinder. Like, there's still some style to her. Like, I do like most of her design. I do like the designs that they've been giving her. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like she lost all the art that she had in the first 3 volumes. All right. Then we have Asp, the Asp from Marvel. She's another member of the Serpent Society, which you're gonna expect a lot of Snake villains, just to tell you ahead of time in this tier list. And she's, I want to say, one of the more like just their members, because unlike a lot of members who have at least a little bit more of a story to them, there's nothing really all that special about her. Like, I think she was like I think she's from Egypt, or at least has Egyptian heritage, which you can probably kind of tell by her design. Like, there's a little bit of like a stereotypical, like what you kind of imagine, like when it comes to Egyptian type of clothing thing. And I believe she was like a dancer or something in there, and her powers are like some kind of astral projection. She has a very nice relationship because she's friends with not with herself, with Black Mamba and Diamondback. But from that trio, she's more of like there to be a trio, not really to be like a duo, just so they're not a duo. But yeah, she's just kind of a bland character and doesn't really do much. Because at least at least Black Mamba, I would say, appears seems to at least be a bit more like a regularly appeared character. The Asp just kind of feels like whenever there's like a big group. Also, so she, Diamondback, and Black Mamba made the Bad Girls Inc. group. Which, there are jokes to be made. But yeah, Asp is definitely one of the more weaker members of the Serpent Society. Doesn't really do much. She's just sort of there as a member. Although apparently they weirdly enough seem to hate / like Diamondback because of a trial. We'll get into Diamondback later, but I don't know. Like, Asp is just sort of a their member. Constrictor, another member of the Serpent Society who, funny enough, in the comics, he actually was not a member of Serpent Society. Like, he was asked to join, he was offered the position, but he kind of just went there for the sake of, let's see what this Serpent Society truly has, because I think he was, like, coincidentally in the neighborhood, but then when he heard the proposition, he didn't like the group and just kind of laughed, like, oh my god, this is like a stupid union. What next? Are we gonna be selling retail shirts, are we gonna be then, sell them retail price or something? But for some reason, the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he was put as a member, probably because he has like a sleek enough design to add, and probably because he wanted to add made sense in a fight or something. I don't know. I'm not really entirely certain why he was chosen. But anyways, no, Constrictor actually has a bit more of a backstory and more fleshed out than Asp, but pretty much the same as Bushmaster. He actually does have a backstory and a reason for it. He was secret agent. He was an agent for Shield, but then because of his mental trauma and because he was in a place where there was like a lot of people that were bad influences on him, he decided to actually live through his new life as this villain because he was worked in there a criminal organization as undercover. And honestly, he's kind of just a jerk when you really think about it. He's meant to be suffering from some mental issues. I'm not knowledgeable enough about him to say which mental issue he's suffering from, like what specific trauma. But he's suffering from it, and that's the reason why he became a villain, because previously he was a pretty heroic figure. Well, not heroic, but he's a very noble kind of figure, but now he's such a douche. Like, because that's the thing. When they were grabbing their first mission, their first mission pretty much was just a simple steal. It shouldn't have gone wrong, or at least it was unlikely it was gonna go wrong. But Constrictor followed them on their mission, so he could then tip off the authorities, so Captain America would show up and stop their scheme. Which Captain America didn't manage to do it. He managed to beat one of their members, the Anaconda, but he himself, but that didn't really matter because Sidewinder managed to save Anaconda, and then they found out quickly that Constrictor was the one that tipped them off. Probably they put pieces together. He was being a very big douche when he was leaving. So they just had Anaconda go there and beat him to the inch of his life. I think he survived that, but he was very beaten. So why he was put as a member of society in the Serpent Society and in the series, I have no idea. But anyways, that's it for Christian. He's just kind of a douche. He also abandoned his family. He was even like one of those villains who came back to their family, or at least like told them. Nick Fury literally just came to them, told them, "So your husband is dead," to just because he like just completely left everything. Like he's just a douchebag. Like I don't blame Anaconda for beating the shit out of him. Good points to Anaconda for that. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Copperhead from DC. Funny enough, I think there actually is a separate villain in Marvel as well that's named Copperhead, but I don't think he's not on this tier list. So yeah. Anyways, Copperhead. He's just a minor villain in DC. He doesn't really do much. He's a part of villainous teams, but he's just kind of a background. Like, he appears, I would say, regularly enough for his type of villain. I think his first appearance is in Justice League series, where he was a part of the group of the Injustice League that Lex was forming, but he was defeated in their first battle against Justice League and arrested. He was just there to to poison Batman, to kind of show that, show how Batman might be sent to feel a bit insecure about his powers. So he's not, because he's Batman. He has so many feats that even with that he's questionable how he's even considered a normal human. But anyways, he's supposed to be arrested and all, and then he's replaced by Joker anyway. So he's replaced by someone who's actually more powerful. He, I think, appears a couple more times, but just in a brief, little cameo character. He appears again in when they were when 5 supervillains were escaping. He is there, but then he's wants to poison Hugger, but Hugger just flies up. So if he poisons her, they're just gonna fall down. But then John is there to oh yeah, you're beaten. Then basically, so he gets taken down quickly. I think there's a few more episodes where he appears, but nothing else. He appears in Brave and the Bold, but I can't remember exactly in what capacity he does. Probably just some random villain that Batman is punching before someone comes to tell him, "Hey, I have a mission for you." So yeah, Copperhead is just there, and alright, he does have a video game appearance where he's a female cartoonist, I believe, or something. Those people who kind of move their bodies really weirdly, like they have no bones or something. She's there. She's, I think, one of the more well-received bosses, or at least one of the more striking ones. I wonder why. So yeah, and she gets beaten by Batman, and that's about it. And then he also appears in the Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, but he's just kind of the muscle. He's the Killer Croc, the King Shark guy, the muscular animal hybrid guy of the group. And he's just there. He has a few I think he does have a few lines, but it's very small, very little lines. He's mostly just there. Funny enough, I think that version of him is probably the most I want to say serious, but the version of him where he's the most competent. I think that version of him steals a bus so they can drive around. That person, he breaks out of ice and engages Killer Frost when she betrays everyone. That version of him actually does, do stuff. So I definitely like that version probably the most of all of them. But again, he's just a low-ranking villain. Cottonmouth from Marvel. Like I said, there's another Cotton villain. Fun enough, Cottonmouth actually has there's a villain with the same name to him, but he's a mobster. So yeah, Cottonmouth. He's just, again, he's one of the more I want to say he's like kind of the faces of the Super Society when it comes to like images and toys and stuff, but he's nothing else, and his power is essentially just like a giant jaw that allows him to bite into people and do damage. Which, fine enough, I think he's like one of the Super Society guys who actually were responsible for MODOK's death in the comics at least once. So yeah, so props to Garmon for actually doing something, although I'm not sure if he got the finishing blow. But it doesn't matter because ultimately he's just a nothing character. Honestly, the first time I saw him was just as a toy in a video. Like, not even a video I watched, just a video where I was like scrolling through YouTube. So, yeah. I gotta put him in detail below 8 because 8 has like a bit of a unique design. It's like some kind of thing says about a character who has like a lot of copies of himself, so I kinda like him. Well, 8. You know what I mean? 6, but 8 is fun as well. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Justin from Total Drama. And I'll be honest, Justin's probably like the weakest villain amongst Total Drama villains. Like, that doesn't sense like he's bad, but like, you have bad villains, then you have just boring villains, and then you have actual like discussions. And Justin to me is just a boring villain. In Total Drama Island, he was a nothing character. I don't even think he speaks in the 4 episodes or 5 episodes that he was in. In action, he's kind of set up like the main villain, or at least they gave him more, actual stuff to do. But then just sort of commands the team, and they're like decent, I guess. I mean, he does take the initiative and gets rid of. Basically gets rid of Trent and Gwen, but outside of that, he does not. But outside of that, I think he's just kind of in the background. He doesn't really stick out. I mean, it's kind of not surprising that Courtney basically takes over his role. So I gotta put him very low. I mean, he's not a. No, he's not a bad villain. Just he's again like a very boring villain. He doesn't really do much for the story. He's just sort of a contestant. And then we have Alejandro, who basically does everything he did but better. So he just loses everything. I do have to wonder if at some point they just took Justice character and gave it to Alejandro, but I don't know. I kind of feel like they just sort of realized after Justin wasted his chance that they could write someone like Alejandro, but so they just had to, make a new character for it. But yeah, Justin is just there. Then we have Daichi from Eden Zero. Daichi from Eden Zero. He's just a boss fight for, a villain that's there to be a fight for the characters. He has plant powers, which are, pretty interesting implementation. Although I do find it kind of weird that they gave the Earth Elemental the plant powers. I mean, I get the two are connected, but Earth and plant are two different things in media when it comes to like actual powers. But anyways, actually, you know what? I will put him just because of that. Like, I really hate that when they put, like, they have elementals, but then they have the earth just be replaced with plants. Like, if you're gonna have everyone else pretty closely follow their power, why the hell is the earth the one you want to replace with plant? I know it's technically the same thing, or at least the two are connected, but I really don't like this. Like why even? Like, even if you want to say, oh, those roots are not actually ants, they're actually just in appearance of plants, I still find it stupid. Like, also his design is just kind of a wacky alien, not even like a over the top whack, just kind of a bland wacky. And I like a good sister fight, but this one is just, just kind of there. Like, you pretty much only watch that fight for sister and later on Rebecca fan service, not because you want to see this guy. Well, not because this guy's anything particular, but yeah. Anyways, Daichi is just trash. Alright, anyways, then we have Death Adder from Serpent Society. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of serpent-themed villains. And I'm actually gonna put Death Adder pretty higher than the previous couple ones, because Death Adder, well, one, he has an excuse for being more of the background. That's because he can't talk. It's explained in the comments that his apparently vocal cords got hurt and damaged, and now he's incapable of talking. So I guess that makes more sense. And in general, I think he has a lot cooler design than some of the other ones that we've discussed so far to have, like Cottonmouth and the Asp. So, yeah, that definitely gives some points. I also do like how he was kind of how in the comics he's a very loyal and still continues his mission kind of members, because when they found out that Princess Python, well, leaked information to Captain America, he was tasked with taking her to the base to erase her memory and then sell her back to her old bosses. And he did want to complete that mission, but just happened he died. So he's the first Serpent Society member that died, and that's like one of the reasons why I think Serpent Society should really be a more prominent villain group used in Marvel media, because Cyber was actually hurt and broken that Death Adder died, and he was also a loyal member who, was doing everything he should have for the organization. So I do, well, for society, so I do think that he was like, a pretty loyal member. But unfortunately not. I mean, they do, I think, replace him later with someone takes up his mantle, but I don't really, it's a mute, cool-looking guy. I can't really say much more about him. I think he's another one who was put to go kill Mordark. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who actually delivered the final blow. Just saying. Sharp claws in the hat feel far more likely to kill Mordark than eating one of his arms. So yeah, anyways, that's it for that. Then we have Dallinger from One Piece. He's entertaining enough as a member of the Don Quixote family. Like, I don't want to say, he's kind of one of the weaker ones, honestly, from the group itself. Like Mark Weiss and Jola are. I mean, he's better than those two, at least. He definitely had more presence, and his, like, he actually defeated one of the Colosseum fighters before he got taken down or one-shot by Cavendish, this alter ego. So he definitely, he at least got a victory and all. So he was a bit more of a presence and all. He's just a crazy kid, well, a bloodthirsty kid with a very weird design. That's really it. Like, you probably stick in your head, but that's about it. There's nothing real that special. Though, surprisingly enough, he's actually probably like one of the youngest characters in terms of age to be have a bounty. I mean, they're younger, well, currently, but he actually, if I remember correctly, when his bounty would have been frozen, he was like a little child, like 5, 6, maybe 7 years old. Probably like comparable to Nico Robin when she got her first bounty, which to be fair, Dodger's first bounty is actually very small. I think it's like Nami's original first bounty or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was something like that. But yeah, Danger is just sort of a day member. Not a bad member, but nothing to really write home about. Derry from Saturday Saints. Another very solid well, she's a very solid member of the Ten Commandments. Like, she has a lot more depth to her. Well, mostly because like we have her that flashback where she leads an army of demons to rescue the civilian demons that the archangels captured. She leads them. She wants, Elizabeth wants to negotiate with her, but then Ludoshel reveals his actual plot, and then he kills the civilian demons, where one of the civilians was her sister, and then the other two archangels wanted to show all the demons, but because surprisingly enough, the Ten Commandments are stronger than regular lower class demons that are even lower class amongst the demon kind, they're able to they're able to survive and then fight against the archangels, where the archangels are able to hold their own against them. They do have the advantage, although personally I think you could argue that it's more because of a matchup because they first goes into battle against the guy who's immune to physical attacks, and there is a physical attacker, a brawler in a sense. But yeah, anyways, she and Moonspot didn't sacrifice 6 of their 7 hearts, I believe. Or was it 8 or 9? Well, they sacrificed everyone except 1 heart to become a door. They get their Endure transformation, then just beat the shit out of the demons, well, of the archangels, because they cannot hold their own against the Endure transformation. It's like, I believe Derriere, like, I believe Lucian or something like, you demons took you up an even more disgusting form. You guys, but then Derriere's transformation just beats the shit out of Lucian, and then Moonspy beats just beats the shit out of the other 2. But fortunately for the Archangels, Elizabeth's able to heal or reverse Derriere and Moonspite from those transformations, and they are back to their demonic form, so they can be sealed away. And then they get freed. They are sort of just in the background for the most part in the beginning of their Ten Commandments arc, or for the entire Ten Commandments. Like, they appear a bit, they eat a few souls, then they are in the battle with Ten Commandments versus Meliodas. They show off a few of their attacks. Then then in their like final stages, one of the I think it's Elizabeth's dad's brother wants to summon an angel, but that angel is now Basta, who is a lower ranking member of the angels, and she has enough common sense to know that 10 commandments are stronger than her, so she just runs away, but the area will not have any of it, so she hunts her down. First, Basta wants to like trick her into like killing her, but then there is strong enough to survive that just her hair gets destroyed, so there is able to easily kill Basta in that form. And then they have like a little Moonspy dust her hair because she was like her hair was very awfully ruined. Then they go into a battle against Meliodas, which just meant to serve how powerful Meliodas got after his revival. And then they're just kind of in the background, they're just kind of sitting in a village somewhere until like Astarosa shows up to collect their commandments, where she gets like a captors to arc, where she realized that Moonspite loved her, but she never realized that because Moonspite could never say. Which then Moonspite saves her. She teams up with everyone, and then they go against. There's a lot of stuff, and she's definitely a character that got explained more, and then dies because of a mistake that one of the Archangels did because he hesitated for a second. So and now her spirit is revived in the new body of Teniac, and there's like that like scene where she's like, like she kind of laments the deaths of Malaska like a lot because it's like the 5th time they died or something. So you can tell that area was Nakaba's fan favorite, but we'll see what more is gonna come from her. But to be fair, Tenex, I think once is a different character, or at least should probably be considered a different character, but whatever. So anyways, then we have Saturn from One Piece, who is just now getting a lot of his awesome aspects out. So Saturn. I'll put Saturn on top of D tier because while I want to say Saturn's a bad villain, he definitely serves as like a good introduction villain for the Celestial Dragon as a threat, like not just like a nuisance, in the story, like how Charlos and his family were. I mean, like an actual like antagonistic force. He definitely served it well, but then he just really became a failure. Like when he actually starts fights, he's mostly getting beaten around, slapped around, which some people try to defend as, it's not doing anything. But guess what? Hidan is also able to survive most attacks that would kill regular people, but that does not make him top of the Akatsuki. I don't think Hidan can heal in the same sense, but still, he's nowhere near the top. He does the bottom. And Saturn is kind of similar. He just gets slapped around by everyone. And I'm honestly not surprised that Emu killed her. I don't want to reveal too much. I already said too much. Just alright. I feel anyone who thinks that Santa's gonna die, you are correct. That's all I'm gonna say. But Santa, he's just sort of a there, man. Not there. He's just, he's a good introduction, but nothing else. I wasn't really blown away by him. Like, despite being a scientist, you can barely even feel like he's a scientist. It's just kind of like a there. Most ways, it's just in the background. Like, he's not even an arc where it allows him to show his stuff, Oh, and then he gets replaced with Garlink, who I don't even think is a scientist, just someone who was, because that was the opening, but whatever. Saturn is decent enough. Basil Hawkins. Another character who had a lot of potential and was a very fun character when first introduced, but then it's just got downhill. Basil is a more stoic character. In the beginning, I don't think he really lost his stoicism for the most part. It's just that his stoicism became less of a feature, and more he was starting to be more panicky about it. Or to be fair, that could just be because we got more into his character. But anyways, Basil Hawkins was a decent enough threat during the Wano arc. Honestly, I kind of feel like he should have been more of a Toby Roper than Who's Sasaki, but I don't know, maybe like that was the idea. Like maybe Basil Hawkins actually kind of meant to like switch their roles. Like Basil Hawkins was meant to be like the flying six member instead of extra because he defected and all that. But anyways, he was fine enough in the arc. He was decent. He didn't really do anything spectacular. Like, he was a decent enough, but ultimately didn't really accomplish much of anything. Although there's like a lot of like off screen what happened to him. Like he Law escaped thanks to Axe Drake, but then we have him bandage up. But what did Law really do? I mean, all you have to do is attach characters to his limbs back. So they actually just attach his limbs and then just added bandages for the sake of. Yeah, and he's all up to it's like, is he dead? Is he alive? No one really knows because like there is that moment at the end of the arc where he comes to extra because they were kind of like palling around for majority of the arc, and he was like, that person who had like 1% chance of winning, yeah, that was me, which kind of just felt like I don't really understand what the point. Like I don't really understand what was the point of that. It feels like they just want to like have that like percentage just there for the sake of being there. I guess maybe to be more credible at the end of the arc and the other saga if Basil Hawkins is still alive. I don't know. Like the anime made it seem like he's way more that he's more definitely dead, but it's hard to really say for now. But regardless, Basil was a decent enough antagonist and cool enough in terms of appearance and powers. Then we have Prelea. I honestly cannot remember her name from Symphogear. The third one of the Alchemist trio. Honestly, I really did not like her. Like it's not that she's does anything particularly awful. It's just she has like this very annoying death scene where I feel like she's just there so she can die. Like she's escaping from Adam to warn Saint Germain, but she for some reason doesn't. But when the Symphogears show up, instead of like stopping and telling them that she needs to hurry or tries to want to explain things or anything, they just have a fight for some reason. It just sort of feels like it's just sort of there, like they didn't really have a way to deal with her. Ellie Castopie or whatever the other one's name was, at least had some sense. Reason why how she died or this one just kind of fell because there was no real plan. Honestly, I feel like they should have just sacrificed her or something because it would at least make more sense, but this one just they didn't. Also, her survival and then sacrificing themselves for the missiles. I really I really don't know why there was a point of keeping that really there survive that. I feel like it's just symbolic. It will work just as well. So I gotta put her in E tier. Alright, then we have Electrocutioner, another more villain type of character, but I'll put this guy on top of Karma pure because there's some comedy from him in a lot of series, like in the Arkham series where he's just a comically defeated character. But that's about it for the Executioner. He's just kind of a background muscle kind of thing. Not even like a muscle, just like a background guy who sends electricity. So yeah. Anyways, then we have the 11th seat from Overlord, which despite us not having much of her character and stuff, I do like her character from the little we've seen, and also her attitude to a lot of things. And okay, one of my favorite scenes, 11th seat, the woman who looks like she literally just woke up from a drunken night and dragged to the different kingdom is gonna complain about horse. Well, call girl, so apologies for using the W word, but you know, it's just fine to me. I don't know why. Maybe that's what's supposed to be like the reason why it's designed that way to be like ironic, but still, I don't know, I just love that little thing. Also, so I like a little like backstory about how she was put in her place by Zashi to make sure she's not gonna be arrogant. So I do like her, but doesn't really do anything special. Like at least there's something positive. But I do have to wonder how she's gonna be like killed off in Overlord, or she's gonna be killed off because like I don't know why, but I kind of get the impression that she and the 7th Seed would probably just kill themselves. I mean, like she's already terrified. She's extremely terrified by Zashi. If Zashi is killed and like sent to them as in boxes, then she'll probably she'll probably try to kill herself on that as well. If Zashi's brainwashed, she'll probably again want to kill herself. Like I really don't understand how you're gonna have a character like Infinite Magic surviving into not killing themselves if they discover anything about Nazareth's invasion. But yeah. That's it for her. Then we have Basby, who is one of the tropes that Kubo has when it comes to right antagonists, where he has like a more hot-headed villain, but working tandem with a more cold, calculated villain. So he's the Grimjaw of the Stun Raiders, basically. And I'll be honest, Basby, I like him. This is the reason I'm definitely putting him above C tier. But Basby is just, I don't know, it feels like Kubo didn't really know what to do much with him. Like he hasn't really decided if he wants to make him a more important character at the beginning until like he had him until the Ashwell, and that's where he kind of decided to make him a more significant. Maybe. Okay, no, I don't think that's right. I think he decided to make Basby a bit more of an important character when during the like the first big introduction, or like when revealed that Uyo was working for them, and he had like that moment, like that confrontation with Jugo Hashwold. I think that's where he decided to make him more important, but I don't think he really decided on how exactly. Is he gonna have him just have a big fight in the middle of the arc, like kind of like a wrap up for the lower tier Stun Raiders? Because like let's be honest, so Pepe is a kind of a really really weak ending for those Stun Raiders. Like, you barfed at the Pet fight. We all barfed in that fight. I think we can all agree that it was a weak way to end that low tier Stun Raiders threat level or threat. So I feel like maybe Basby was meant to be a more. So maybe Basby was meant to have been originally the one to find an opponent. Plus, it's a rookie. Plus, he fights Rukia and Ranji. So you can definitely see a cool, epic fight with those two against him. So maybe that was originally planned, but then Kubo went back and decided to instead have him be killed by Jugo and reveal some backstory because Cooper didn't know who else to like call to like reveal backstory information. But anyways, despite all that and a very weak transformation, like just being a bunch of boss, he was a very cool character. Like he had his style, he had his way of fighting. Like he definitely stole the show. I just kind of wish that his execution overall would be a bit better. But regardless, I think he was this great enough villain. Airman from Mega Man series. Okay, I'm not that familiar with the games, but in the fully charged series, Airman was essentially just the very egotistical flyer villain, but who appeared a bit of times and was. I don't want to say the voice of reason, maybe because I think he's the one that questions on his master why doesn't he just kill him when he was so overwhelming him. But regardless, he's just but regardless, he's nothing special. You know, honestly, like he was just decent. Like even his episode later on with his siblings was just a bunch of different arrogant individuals when he was just attacking randomly, or causing trouble randomly. But he himself was nothing really that special, just a their character. So I'll probably put him below Acid Storm just there. He's just nothing. Anyways, then we have Talia al Ghul from DC. Kind of an interesting character to talk about. Not because I think she's overly complicated or anything like that, but because she's an interesting kind of, I would say, progression of a character where it feels like in current DC makes her a lot more sinister, a lot more of a villainess than she was at the beginning. Because, well, she was always a bit of a villain and always working for her father, who's a straight up villain. There's always that side. And it was kind of like, there was still like that kind of anti-hero love story between her and Batman. You know, there was kind of like, you know, they have like Batman, the original animated series, you know, with the Batman, Superman, and all that. Why are she why you have all the other characters, like you have Selena, Kara, and I think that one of the bad women and all that. She was the one that was kind of like being treated like the true love versus true love kind of thing. And then you have Batman Brave the Bold, where she helps Dick and Batman in the episodes that she appears in, so she's definitely a bit more of a protagonist there. And then we have the Young Justices, which she doesn't really do much except remind us that Damian exists, which makes me question: is Dick? I'm not gonna talk about it. If you actually, you know, I can talk about it because for some strange reason, modern Talia is a lot more of a villainous figure, where if there's some kind of evil scheme, she doesn't. Like, in the Son of Batman, she's like a neutral enough, although, see what she did to Batman, I wouldn't really consider that neutral in any kind of sense, but whatever. Then we get to a little bit later with the Bad Blood, where she's the main villain in the story. Then we have the Harley Quinn show, which I don't think she's the main villain in that one, because like she was kind of like building up something, but I don't think the season actually paid off on it. I think it's just been taken over by Brainiac and Lena Luthor, so that's that. But she was kind of like the very villainous there. And there was like another movie about Doom to Gotham, where she was basically the main villain. Like, yeah, the alien space entity or demonic space entity and Ra's al Ghul were technically the ones that were before, but she was the one that was like, you know, creating the villains to succeed in their evil schemes. She was the one that was, you know, making sure everything can play out. She just died quicker. So yeah, they're definitely making Talia a bit more of a villainous figure, but unfortunately for Talia, she just doesn't have the charisma and the style to like really stand up as a villain in her right. So she unfortunately has to go with Carmine Falcone in D tier because again they do good work, but they're Batman villains. I'm expecting more stuff like Bane, Uh, Alex. Wow, Batman. I'm really picking the bottom of the Batman rogues gallery right now when it comes to characters. No disrespect to Bane, but I'm just not nice. I'm pretty much winking something worse right now. I guess that's maybe why there's so few S and 8 in this tier list. Alright, then we have Saint Germain, the, I guess, noble hero villain archetype character from Symphogear. So yeah, Saint Germain. Now, I do not want to say that Saint Germain is an inferior hero because the two of them are both alchemists who both survived for thousands of years and all. I do not want to say that. It's just I don't really find her that or okay, I'm just not a big fan of the whole noble villain archetype. Granted, unlike some other characters, she doesn't feel that egregious and irritating, just kind of there, honestly. But she doesn't really do anything to make me really fall in love with her as much as the other characters did. As much as some other characters did. She was decent enough in it, but unfortunately she just sort of like I really want to say more about her, but the thing is, she's just sort of I don't have a lot of good positive things to. Honestly, I think I just gotta put her more down. She doesn't have enough charisma, in my opinion. Like there were some times, and they did once she technically worked with the heroes, they did try to give her more of a style. But for the majority of the season, she's a very serious character, very business oriented, which is fine. I mean, works after she's meant to be like the more prominent threat, but she doesn't really. But it does negatively affect that way. She doesn't really give her much of charisma until like literally. I think the only time she had any form of charisma was literally when she was first working with the protagonist side of things, helping them cure the sickness or whatever's affecting the Symphogears. Or helping the Symphogears recover quicker. That's literally all she did. That's what the time when they actually gave her some bit of her own style personality. Outside of that, she's just sort of there, and she's very loved by her group. But I don't really understand why she would be loved. You know, at least automatons I kind of get because they were created by Carol, but Saint Germain I don't really see that much from her. She's just again, it's not that she's bad. It's just she's a certain archetype that I am not a big fan of, and they just play out very normally. At least her sacrifice in that was sweet, but that was about it. That would make me want to talk about her. Alright, then we have Flampe! Talk about a 180 when it comes to type of villains, because Flampe is itself a noble hero character, a noble heroic villainess. She's just your annoying teenage brat girl who feels like she's written with meant to be a parody of some teenager that Oda met at some point. It hasn't been confirmed or stated, but I would not be surprised if that is the case. So yeah, Flampe, I'm just gonna put her below Justin. Like, I think there's a lot of people who hate Flampe, but Flampe is just, just normal. Like, there's nothing really all special. Like, she has a very annoying moment, an awful moment where she, like, talks shit to Karakuri after he reveals the mouth, and he tells her, "Don't interfere with a fight between men." But then she's like, the spiky teeth, the pelican eel mouth, so disgusting. Like, she has that, but scene which like very annoying, but everything else just kind of bland and boring. So yeah, she's nothing. Although there's kind of like a weird thing where she's like, "Oh, I am number one in terms of Charlotte's siblings. I'm everyone's favorite." And Karakuri is number one amongst big brothers from the Charlotte family, so I don't really understand what's that meant to be like a big feat. I guess maybe she means that back because Karakuri has Pelican eels that would immediately like cut every respect, everything he accomplished, but it didn't really seem to have affected anything. Like when we later see the Big Mom Pirate discussing who's gonna be the new captain, no one is like, I mean, Karakuri does have a Pelican eel mouth, so should he really be the captain? I mean, granted, they don't really mention what they think about this, but I don't really think that there would be that big of a deal. I mean, Brule knew about it back the Karakuri Steve. Everyone who was born before Brule got scarred knew about the Karakuri Steve, so I don't really know why that would have that big of a fact. But regardless, Flampe was just kind of a lame and boring ass character. She had like one very awful scene, but was just boring until the end. Alright, then we have Assault from Fire Force, a very comedic character to say the least, and yeah, he's basically just a comedy character whose like main joke is that he gets kind of defeated, but he basically gets defeated by fan service a bunch of times. Like he gets like distracted by Lucky Lurcher, and then Iris knocks him over the head, and they just like dog pile on him, and then he just gets beaten a bunch of times by fan service from Tamaki, like literally just fan service. Like he gets nose beats and gets beaten by her. Then he reappears later to help Tamaki beat his doppelganger, and yeah, that's pretty much it about his character. Like he's just an easy supply of fan service. That's it. Which is ironic since he's not, ever shown to be in a fan service way, but that's basically what his story and character kind of brings to us. Fan service. So yeah, that's about it. Then we have Hidan from Naruto, and I like Hidan. I might have joked about Hidan being in the bottom of the cards in terms of power, but he's a fine enough character. He has this very cool look to him. His whole immortality is definitely showing a very fun way, especially with the whole jutsu that connects the person. Him with the person he consumes blood with, to a point that every damage he gets, his counterpoint gets it as well. So like he stab himself, you get stabbed through the heart and stuff like that. Although, like Kakazu said, it takes forever, and quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure how many times he actually should be able to practically do that in their missions. But whatever, he gets his sacrifices as long as Kakuzu gets the money. He probably assists in the sacrifice bit, but anyways, that's about it. Like he is fun, but he's nothing to really write home about amongst the Katsuki members. Stone Giant Warrior, who somehow survived the entire story. Well, at least I'm assuming he survived the entire story of Ninjago despite all of the Stone Warriors being destroyed in the final battle. How? Why? I don't know. Honestly, wait, what? I wonder if he was even. I'm starting to wonder if he was even in Ninjago before, like until post Oni trilogy story beats, because I can't remember him. Because I remember him appearing doing those scenes, but I can't remember him before that. I mean, he's a stone giant, so he's kind of noticeable. But I'm not entirely certain if he was in it or not. But then again, he's a stone giant. In a prison setting, he would at most be able to just be in the background or something. But anyways, he's there, but doesn't really do anything. He's just a mindless brute. So he pretty much just goes in the same tier as 8-8 in all honesty. Although, for nostalgia purposes, I'll put him above 8-8. Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. I'll put it in 8 tier. Like, yeah, I think it's been long enough, and she, I think, deserves it. I mean, she's the insane second in command, although, I don't think she actually has ever made into a second in command, just that's the aura that she gives off that she's the second in command. And she's probably one of the more accomplished Death Eaters. Like, she killed Sirius Black, she killed Nymphadora, though I think Sirius Black was taken killed by the Veil, but whatever. She was having successful in her missions. She yeah, well, she also killed Darby, so she definitely is the kind of the murderer of the Death Eater. I like the disheveled look they gave her in the movies, but it's like this wild hair that goes in every which direction. These black dresses she wears. I definitely like her, and you know, she's an insane lady, so obviously immediate high tier. High tier. My only issue with her is the fact, you know, we don't, you know, she appears in like what, over halfway. Well, or she technically appears in one chapter in the 4th book, but then only properly is it in the story. I think since the middle portion of the 5th book in the series, and then it's a pretty consistent antagonist for all that, which I do understand. Like, here, like we don't really get many Death Eaters until like in that type of storyline until like the end of the 4th book, so I do understand why she can't really participate in much, but still, it's just. So I kind of wish we get more of her, but regardless, she's definitely a very intimidating and fun cap to have around. Baraka. Pretty much a poster child for a character who technically has a name, but is just sort of there. Just to be an antagonistic figure. So, unfortunately, I have to put Baraka in. Actually, I'll put Baraka in C. I do like Baraka's designs, and to be fair, what they did with him in Mortal Kombat 1, I do like the fact they gave him a bit more of a personality and brain, although that version probably can't really be called as a villain because throughout the entire thing, he's pretty much on the protagonist's side. In fact, basically, you could say he kind of convinces Reptile, well, not really convinces, but basically, he and Reptile kind of become a team. So, yeah, but still. I like Rock, although I do wish they wouldn't stop making him into a punchy bag because, you know, like, what's the point of having him be there if he's, you know, if he's meant to be like some kind of high-ranking member and stuff, he's just gonna be a punching bag for it. But who knows? Maybe they're gonna do something with him that make him more intimidating as a villain. Maybe he should be like the main. Maybe he should have been replace Gore as like the main fight or something in one of the series, or at least the ones that they have him. Ones that take place before the actual tournament or something. But whatever. Anyways, then we have Abu Dhabi from Red Ranger Isekai. And I gotta put him in A tier. I like his wacky over-the-top design. I like how he had like multiple limbs that are not really connected to him. I like how he's more of a comedian clone type of antagonist. I like how he's also like the more combative guy who actively has like a moment in the manga where he says, "Well, I can't really do much more than teleport and fight, so I guess I'll be your Inquisitor or your combative to get rid of anything that will get in our way." So I definitely like him from that perspective, and he's definitely a very entertaining character. I like how he's having his like one-on-one battle with Red Ranger. If only Red Ranger manga would be a bit more consistent, so we could finally get to this fight. But whatever, we are currently stuck at the whims of the translators and the raw uploaders. But yeah, I definitely like Abu Dhabi. He's definitely a very good antagonistic force. Alright, then we have Iguana from Invincible. I'll put her in C tier. She's nothing special. She's just a villainous member of the Serpent. It's Serpent League, right? That's what they're called, the villains. So in Invincible, but yeah, she's just kind of there. She doesn't really do much. I mean, there was some backstory where Eve's backstory. Extra where they reveal that she and Black Samson had something going on, although if that's the same Iguana or if that's some others is to be, once I determined. It's, you know, like, I mean, they're in a story, or at least in the comics, what they do is like they have the members be replaced by some other members, except for I think Komodo Dragon. So you could say that this Iguana that we have in the show is a different Iguana from the the time Black Samson was, without still when he had his powers, but he still had hair and was a part of the Guardians of the Globe, the original team, so maybe it's a different Iguana, but we don't really know. But yeah, Iguana just CT, she's decent, but nothing special. Asuka Neklevar. So yeah, Asuka Neklevar was definitely the fan favorite amongst the Sternritters when Kubo was making them. When Kubo was designing them, because he has like a lot of very comical moments that make them enjoyable, like taking out the coffee cup and trying to have some coffee after running away from Grimjaw. And he has his style, as well as the fact that he's kind of like not taking anything seriously, but he still is taking his missions seriously. But thanks to his ability, he's able to kind of like get a little bit more comedic and reckless with it. But that's about it. I like his fighting style. I like his powers being poison guy. One of my favorite fighting types, but ability types, and yeah. He's a very fun member of the Shoe Shuffle, but he's like I feel like a fan favorite amongst the Shoe Shuffle members. Then we have Invincible, who I'm gonna put here because Invincible. I like his design. I like his little accent that he has when he talks because it makes him a little bit more unique. And I like how he is actually being called off for his swearing being ridiculous, because swear does not make you cool. Because one problem I do have a lot of modern Western shows, the fact that they, for some reason, need to have characters swear constantly. Just look at Lady from Devil May Cry or Lady May Cry, or whatever that series should actually be called. Like that woman swears so many times that it gives you a headache. That one needs some Jano Craig punching her in the face and Omnimark telling her that swears does not make her cool. But yeah, Invincible, he was fun the little time he had, and I am very disappointed he got off screen by Rihanna Man because, well, we don't even know if it was a Rihanna Man or something else, but we can't really do know. He's that, and he's not coming back, so yeah, he was decent. Then we have Kursk, I believe, from Kursk from Invincible. He is just a hired goon who is there that serves Machine Hat, and then serves Titan a bit. And yeah, he is just a Electro parody because for some reason the writers were inspired by Marvel when it comes to their villains. And that's pretty much all I can say about Kursk. Nothing else. I don't know blended designs though. And then we have Kaopea, who I actually do. I like Kaopea more than Saint Germain. She has more of a style, more of a panache. So put her. Yeah, I'll put her here because I like Kaopea. She was a very fun antagonist, and her like whole idol thing she did when she transformed and all that was definitely very entertaining to say the least. And the end when she's kind of goes into like Brock's Knuckles because like it's revealed that she's trans and she's a man that was turned into a woman. It was a good reveal and definitely made sense for her, unlike the child in the group, who kind of just felt like was just there because why not? But Kaopea herself was definitely a very entertaining, a very fun character that served the story. That was, I definitely feel like had the best. Was probably one of the more entertaining villains in the season. But yeah, that's about it for her. Then we have King Cobra, the guy who is sometimes the leader of Separate Society, or at least the one that the animated series want to make the leader of the Separate Society, despite him probably being the worst leader of the Separate Society. I don't know. No, I feel like the others are Sidewinder and Viper are just simply better leaders of the Separate Society, but whatever. So, King Cobra. I'll be honest, I'm just gonna have to put him in D because he's nothing really that special. He's just a generic mook who is a terrible leader who will betray his team if he can save himself. Like, at least Sidewinder has some uniqueness to him, with him actually grieving the death of that Death Eater and him actually having a pretty smart strategy to get his teammates out. But King Cobra is just in charge because, I guess, because his name is, because he put King in his name, so people think that he should be in charge of the Separate Society. Even though he's probably the boring one, probably the most boring one of the Separate Society leaders. Also, kind of a stupid idiot because the thing he did, there was like a story arc with Diamondback, and let's just say that the reason why she was put on trial was just so he could kind of flex, be like, I'm going to be a strong ass leader, which he really shouldn't be focusing on that, especially now where they didn't have Sidewinder's teleportation powers, meaning, alright, to give a little explanation, Serpent Society's leader, Sidewinder, the founder, he had the power to transport, meaning that if the Serpent Society members were captured, Sidewinder would just save them and they would be able to escape from prison. But he, because of all the betrayals and losing of members, he gave up and King Cobra took over basically. To be fair, Viper also, I think, took over at some point, but regardless, King Cobra should have really been doing something else, but for some reason he just is put as the leader of the group, even though he probably is just nothing. Generally speaking, he's just a very generic member. Honestly, he's just treated with a little bit more style to himself than, like, let's say, Cottonmouth or the Asp, but that's about it. So yeah, then we have Dharma Ujiko from My Academia, and you know what? There, I'll be fair. I'll be honest, I don't really particularly care about Dharma Ujiko. Like, he kind of feels like he was just there to be like a plot device for the creation of Nomu, because, I mean, he really just sort of he doesn't really do much. Like, he is first being theorized for so long, then he finally appears. He's just got the guy behind a computer screen a bit. Then they find out, reveal everything about him to a point I question if he was even meant to originally be the same character and not just reusing of assets. Because, you know, like, it was a puppet, because he has the same, or at least very similar design to the Doctor that was, you know, telling Deku that he doesn't have a quirk factor. But regardless of that, he's just sort of there, man. But then after he gets discovered, he just panics and then constantly runs away with all of his attempts getting thwarted, though luckily Shiok is able to survive and able to, like, escape or revive himself or whatever. And he just goes on a rampage while Dharma Ujiko is just being arrested. And then we see him in a prison cell rotting away. Explain, oh, Dabi was like one of the seats that was meant to replace Shigaraki if he wasn't going to have survived. But that's about it for Ujiko. There's really nothing to speak about. I mean, he's very disgusting and very horrific character. I mean, he literally turned one of his grandson, I believe, was revealed to be, into a Nomu, which the fact that guy was supposed to be a grandson doesn't make me question quite a few information, but whatever. Maybe it was meant to be like a thing where adoption thing to hint to the whole what the orphans were actually made for, but whatever. Dharma Ujiko is just a boring character. It's not bad, but just kind of character. Then we have Lashina, who is another character like Iguana, who is just sort of there as an antagonist, a part of a group. Like, she's mad, but they do give her stuff, because whenever it comes to, like, a female Fury that's given a bit more spotlight besides Big Barda, it does feel like Lashina is their go-to girl. Like in the Super Animated series, she was the one that was kind of like the romantic love interest, if you can call her a romantic love interest for Superman. Fun fact, apparently they were going to do Talia al Ghul with Lashina originally. What's with DC wanting their iconic, popular superheroes getting awarded by by villainesses and having them give birth to their children is beyond me, but apparently they like it for some reason. But yeah, that's the most prominent she was playing at. Then in in Batman Raven the Bold, she has like a thing going on with Jonah and Hacks. And then in I think it was Lego Superhero Girls or one of those superhero girls shows. She was kind of like the main female figure that was causing them the most amount of trouble. The one who was escaping or making plans or teaming up with other villains and stuff like that. So yeah, they definitely are trying to make Lashina more of a villainous threat, but it's still like a part of a team thing. Like she's not gonna be made to her own individual storylines, like something like a Swindle in Transformers has, where he can just be as part of a team or just be a solo act. That's feel like they want her to be like a more of a. At least they do try to make her more interesting than just part of the group. Matt Mole, just a fill-in member of the Diabolas. He's really nothing but makes a few jokes about stuff, like just random stuff like Cha-ching, not Cha-ching, I'm confusing him with the Fire Force character. Like, he has like a thing, like I think he ends some sentences with something weird, but not regularly enough to make it like a thing. Just says something stuff randomly or makes like a prayer pose. Like I think it's meant to be Buddhism. Like he's a practitioner of Buddhism, but that's about it. He doesn't have anything special about him or interesting. He's just there. I mean, it's gotten to the point that we never got to see his fight against Gajel, and also the way that Nashua treats their balls is disappointing in general, but Mad Mole is just sort of a failing member. Like, just someone so Natsu would be overwhelmed with when they were underwater, and to show off that this generation of Jesters can actually, sail, but that's really it. He's definitely one that I feel the offer kid the least about. Then we have May from My Academia, who is she's also a very decent antagonist. She's also very much nothing special. Well, I think Magmay goes by her. So yeah, Magmay is an antagonistic character. She doesn't last very long in the story. She's essentially she is in the little raid they had with in the campsite they were at, although her introduction was kind of like one of the more weaker ones, I would say, because we haven't seen like everyone before the group was entirely revealed. Like the rest of the members usually have some kind of type. Either we saw them like preparing themselves to get into action, where they're doing that speech about, oh, he said some very powerful seeds, Stain did. Meaning that the people with like minds will enter and will cause chaos, but like that's where I think we first saw Mustard and Muscular, or at least we then saw Muscular like saying Cloak getting prepared, but then we get to like Magna, who just shows up with that like big giant magnet that she had, but she kind of gets under the mind, because you have like that moon fish who is like this wrapped up completely escape, who is apparently a cannibal. So she has a very like boy introduction, and she then doesn't really do anything spectacular in the higher radar, where the most important thing that happens is that her power is used to like propel, I think, Kompraska and twice later to get them to catch Bakugo, but they are thwarted, and then Fuan takes over her power to like get the legal villains away. Then in the Overhaul arc, she goes against Overhaul but gets killed quickly, so I can't really say much. I'm not really surprised that she was used as more like a more of a throwaway muscle character, because I mean, the design is literally just a random dude. Like, when you look at it, like, there's nothing really special. So I do kind of get it, but whatever. Alright, then we have Magia Baiser from Gushing over Magical Girls, and not our second S tier character. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have any other S tiers. I guess this time we're actually giving more worth to whole S tier, huh? But anyways, Magia Baiser, I love her design, I love her personality, I love how she's more and more corrupted as the more and more perverted she gets, and I like how her at her peak power, not peak power, at her peak excitement, she just kind of loses her mind in the desires to a point of becoming like a monstrous demonic being of lust. So I definitely I like Magia Baiser. There's like nothing I can really say negatively about her. She's just a perfect character. Then we have Beetle, who is, well, honestly, one of my favorite and probably my most a character I would probably consider the most underrated Spider-Man rogue, because one thing, he has a very cool costume. Like, his costumes generally look very unique and interesting, and they have that cool kind of Kamen Rider look to them. So yeah, he's definitely he definitely has a great look to him. And he's still in and I've been reading the Thunderbolts 1972 version, and I really, series with Thunderbolts, I really like this character. I like how they developed him and his relationship with Screaming Mimi and what he chooses. So I definitely would say that series made Beetle an amazing character, which really makes me wonder why do the animated versions just treat him so badly. Like, I don't want to say that he's like a loser villain in the animated series. Like, it does feel like the writers are a bit aware that he's a bit more of a significant character, but he doesn't appear. Also, like a 90s series, I believe, once or something. He doesn't appear until Ultimate Spider-Man. So animated series neither Ultimates. Well, he doesn't appear in animated series or the Spectacular Spider-Man. I don't even think he's like one of the characters that was mentioned to have been appeared in season 3. There was a season 3. His first appearance is, that most people probably know, is Ultimate Spider-Man, where he's just a mute Death Shot kind of character for some reason. And then they have him appear, I mean, I don't want to say regularly enough. Like, I can't exactly remember how many episodes, but I think he appeared in like every season, at least in one episode. But he's, again, nothing really, but he doesn't really do anything. He's just a mute assassin, basically. He's just a filling group in a lot of aspects. I think his first 2 appearances, he actually does have dialogue. But ever since then, I think he's literally just a mute, nothing else. They reappeared in Avengers Assemble with a bit different design. But honestly, I'm not even talking so that it's meant to be the same character. But I guess they're doing the comic accurate Thunderbolts, except Jolt. So it makes sense that they just put him in there for the sake of being there. But he doesn't really do anything to stand out there. I think there's like a little bit of teases about their relationship because they are somewhat teamed up with, and when they are first like shown, they are like Screaming jumps on Beetle's arm to like Princess carry her. So there's a little bit of references there, but nothing special. So yeah, and then we get to I think 2016 or 17 series where he is like one of the bounty hunters, and he is again just sort of I think in a Prison Breakout appears, and he steals like some devices that some of the other Spidey rogues were like using, but there's like a joke about like how he took jack-o'-lanterns, Halloween themed bazooka instead of a proper bazooka. But yeah, he's not used well in those series. It's really disappointing that he's not used well because he is definitely a Spider-Man rogue that deserves a better adaptation and generally better, character stuff. But unfortunately they don't, but I still love the Thunderbolts version of him, so I'm gonna have to put him higher. Then we have Wolf Beta? Or is it? I'm not. I might be confusing her with the Wolf from Miss Kuritsu's monster development department because they have very similar names. So yeah, she just another kind of fill-in antagonist. I'll be honest. Like, not saying that she's bad, but just sort of, she's kind of the cute girl of the group. Nothing more like dark. There's a little bit of like a they almost did a few like little Wolfie jokes with her, but nothing to really like write home about. But yeah, she's just sort of there. Nothing really special. Then we have Fudo. Is it Kazume Akuho? Fudo. I don't really exactly remember what the family name is, but Fudo, though being the also, I would consider him the main villain of season 5 of Symphogear because, like, while I get like Shimha was like the final antagonist, I would say Fudo was like the true like final villain of the series, and he was more Shimha was like more the final threat. It's kind of like if a villain was defeated, but they had like a doomsday weapon, and then like we would spend like one episode, so like 5 episodes is solving the doomsday weapon. That's what I would consider Fudo. And I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of Fudo. Like, I don't really like these types of antagonists in themselves. The guys who's meant to, characters who are meant to be like over traditional Japanese. And to be fair, that's it's kind of meant to be the point that he's like too much in his old ways. Like, he thinks he doesn't really see the change. He doesn't see that maybe the best way to become better is to have, better relations with the rest of the world. He just thinks that Japan himself can do everything. So he's just like that character. And I'll be honest, like he was first just kind of like an angry old man on the screen who just being a nuisance a bit. But in season 5, they really just. It says something about a character where your plan is so poorly explained and so poorly revealed that people are not even have a hard time putting it together that the reason why the attack happened was because he wanted to brainwash his granddaughter. So, yeah, Fudo is terrible, and I honestly don't even know what the hell was up with the ending. Like, he first beats up one of his sons, then he kills his other son, then when the granddaughter loses her mind and wants to slash through him, he just like rips completely loses his brain and then just takes off his kimono to like show his pecs to take it head on, only for the end when Shamha gets revealed and everything gets stopped to just go along with being arrested. Like, what the hell did this happen to this guy's end? Like, they're gonna put him on the worst villain because at least the other two are like more minor or have at least so little screen that you can justify. But this guy is just, what the hell happened to him? Alright, then we have Acid Man from Mega Man game. He's just a level boss character in a video game, so I can't really say much more. But I like his design. I like Poison as his weapons, and that's about it. Then we have Saka Rekaya from Fire Force, who's a decently likable antagonist for the beginning of the story. Like, he has a decent enough character to make point that it would not make you unassuming of him. He doesn't, and he's a pretty sick bastard with his whole, experimenting with the children and using Tamaki as a scapegoat, which something he even reveals that he was planning on using Tamaki as a scapegoat as he's kicking her despite how much she admired him. So he's definitely a douchebag, and I do like how he's kind of like despite dying earlier on, he's used very much as a character that's brought up throughout the entire show. Like, he's mentioned by Karin constantly, and then even later when we go back to the whole kid that was given who had the Adola burst, he was then like seen that he was in visions of him. So I feel like he was definitely like a fan favorite by the author, and then he even had we get like another fight with him against Karine later on, that I'm not gonna spoil too much, but that's not technically not him, but a doppelganger, and the little send off they give him in the end where he's revived and all that. I can't spoil too much. I wish it would be saying spoilers at the beginning of the video, but whatever. He is also not sweet, but I don't think it. I mean, I guess we forgave Arrow and everyone, but still, kind of a weird way to end his story, but and his plot thread. But all right, it's reasonable. Then we have Muscular from My Hero Academia, and he's some Muscular. He's just a he's just a villain antagonist for, well, not villain antagonist. He's just a antagonist that's meant to be like a good opponent for Izuku to grow in high levels of power and to be like beaten throughout the rest of the arc, which he served his purpose very well. He was very entertaining while he had his fight scenes. Definitely one of the more memorable one-off fight type of characters, even though he did reappear, but again, it was just kind of there to show Izuku's growth throughout the story and kind of different mindset and all that. So he was fun, but I don't think he overstayed. But I think he served his purpose very well, and he was very well executed. I'll put him in the same on B tier because I did really like him, even though he was very simplistic. Adam Torres, another character who lost a lot of his edge later on. Well, at first in the unlike Cinder, who at least was present throughout the entire in the first 3 volumes, so point kind of was a very big contrast with the story. Didn't really make sense, and was a lot more of a lesser involved character. He appeared in the Blake's trailer with Blake's trailer and the Black trailer, where he was like her partner in the first male character, and the first male character who had a voice in, the first one, but then disappeared for the first 2 volumes, only being semi-mentioned and I think appearing like in a little referenced a bit, but then he didn't reappear until like a setup for season 3, for volume 3, where he was like, "Do not worry, they'll listen to me." And then he didn't reappear until like literally the final few episodes where the Attack on Veil was happening. And even then, when he did reappear, he again only had like a small little skirmish with Blake where he immediately like demolished her and demolished Yang, and then she ran. And then they run away from him. I mean, giving him very mysterious and very aura much, and really satisfying. But then you get to later volumes, and he just became a toxic boyfriend chasing around after Blake. I mean, I don't mind him wanting Blake. I could definitely see that could have been another aspect, but it kind of felt like that took away, like similar to how Cinder got the decrease in terms of importance. It feels like Adam got decrease in importance as well, like just to the point he just became a toxic boyfriend. That's about it. I mean, he even got his own character, which I think he's still like the only character who got an actual trailer to himself, and it still kind of feels like they didn't really know what to do with him. Maybe, like, I don't know, did he just gonna get like scrapped or something? I mean, I do believe it came out to say that the whole White Wing storyline was being overly ambitious, more than what they can actually do. But I find Adam to have been kind of wasted as a character over and all. Just not as bad as Cinder, but still really wasted. But to be fair, at least in terms of like combative threat, I don't want to say he was that diminished compared to like Cinder, who does feel like generally kind of weaker now. But still, I kind of feel like they could have done more with him. Then we have Daifuku from the Charlotte family, who is I mean, he's one of the monsters from the Charlotte family, apparently, like, not in the commander sense, but, you know, he's regarded in a special tier of power, and he has his genie, and it's very, you know, it's a very out there design, but you can tell that he's the one that Oda least focused on, and the one that Oda, I don't want to say he didn't care about him, but there was definitely the one that he didn't really know how to properly use, because, you know, it's kind of, because the actual threat from him is the genie, so him fighting would just be him rubbing his stomach a lot. So there's probably that may kind of be in a weird fight, so maybe that's why he couldn't, Oda didn't really have him be involved that much, but still, it didn't really matter because the food was just sort of there as a member. Alright, then we have Star Sapphire. She is Green Lantern's love interest, or at least some versions of her are, but she's also kind of a sore villain, but personally I don't really think Star Sapphire works. It's like, I don't know, like, Star Sapphire is like a weird attacker where she does appear reasonably enough, but a lot of times she's just angry at hell, which isn't a bad thing, but, you know, just kind of not really the best motivation. You know that, like, terrible motivation where it's like, oh, I'm doing this because of a girl. This does kind of feel like I was very lazy motivation. Like, I'm doing it because one guy was a douchebag to me. I mean, she could have tried to go against with someone else, but not really. Although, to be fair, I think some versions have it explained as, like, the ring makes her more emotionally unstable, something like it, and it, like, angers her more, but but still, it doesn't really change the fact that she does feel weak as an antagonist all in all, especially compared to, like, Atrocitus and Sinestro and those guys. But Star Sapphire is another, like, okay, alright, I'll put it on top of D tier, but I'm not really the biggest Star Sapphire fan. Black Mask, probably like the only mafioso, I guess Peng is also a mafioso, who actually works somewhat, because, you know, he has enough, like, there's Black Mask and his whole, like, killing his minions does give him kind of, like, enough quirks to make him fit into Batman's rogues gallery more than, like, Carmine Falcone. But he's kind of like, feels like kind of like the default mobster character, because whenever he does appear, he doesn't, like, really do much. Like in the Birds of Prey movie, he's just like just a very idiotic what they did there with him, like making him a crybaby who needs, like, a emotional validation from his partner, Victor Zsasz of all characters. Then you get to Catwoman Hunter, where I think he's just like a cameo appearance, but also supposed to be some kind of villain in it. I don't really know, because Cheetah is a far more serviceable villain. Although, to be fair, she does take the role to the main villain. He's just sort of there. And then we get to, like, the Batwoman series, where he's also just kind of like, Black Mask to me just for some reason feels like a character just default to go up against whatever Siren's story, or someone else in the family needs something to get something to involvement from the mafia, but they don't want to use the Penguin or Carmine for it. He's pretty much just like, we need a gangster for this storyline. Use Black Mask. It'll be fine. So yeah, I'm not a really big fan of Black Mask. I don't really care about him, but he's not really horrible, so I'm just gonna put him above Mad Mole. I mean, it's at least some versions of him are entertaining. Fraudren, I'll put him in B tier because I really like Fraudren. I like how he's, despite being because here's the thing, villains like Fraudren usually use like a sort of power scaling kind of antagonist. You know, like, oh, this character is not as powerful as the main group, but it's just below that tier, and just so they can have the heroes flex a bit, or so they can have, you know, they're like cool moments, or like be in between, or something like that. But in since Fraudren actually is a pretty important antagonist, because the freeing of the Ten Commandments, a lot of the villain that happens is because he took control, or at least was motivating and leading Hendrix and Dreyfus into in a position where they would end up freeing the Ten Commandments. So I do appreciate him with that. And while is the weakest man of the Ten Commandments, I do like how he goes out, like instead of being just like an easy flex, they instead have him be demolished by Meliodas, which to be fair, he is an easy showing of power, but he does have a suicide bomb that should be able to like kill everyone, but then because of being with Dreyfus's son for so long, he actually has developed some fatherly like instincts towards him, because while it was all for show, it did have an effect on him. So when he was told to stop, he did eventually acquiesce and just decide to stop, and then just back Meliodas to kill him, because there's nothing else he could really do. So Meliodas did just kill him, and while it is definitely a moment where it's a bit more of a hint to how dark things were gonna be going, because while Roger definitely did deserve death, the way it was done was very demonic, very evil, so it was definitely a bit more a questionable thing, but it was fine though. Also, it's kind of funny how Roger is meant to be like not in command with the Ten Commandments, but for some reason he has a higher power level than Gallant with Ten Commandment. I mean, it's Gallant without his override ability, but still kind of funny to think that he in his form is actually a bit strong. It's stronger than Gallant in his base form. Alright, then we get Mysterio from Marvel and another S-tier villain. I don't think I have to explain why. Pretty much everyone agrees that he's one of the best villains from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. All of his versions are very nicely handled, although some are definitely better than others. Like, even when they do changes towards him, like MCU did, they still make him a great villain and antagonistically shown. So yeah, Mysterio's a very great villain, and personally I would put, and I feel like he's probably like a lot of people's favorite villain. Like, he may not be the arch enemy of Spider-Man, but he's definitely a fan favorite villain all in all. Alright, then we have Invincible. Wow, we have two S-tier villains back to back. Now this is surprising. I mean, don't I really have to say it? His jokes are funny, his aura farming is great, his moments moments are amazing, and his panics over a lot of things is very great. And I love it how I love this scene with him in season 4 where he's like, wait, this guy made this insane calculated plan and none of you guys are able to figure it out? Are you certain that he's not just being an idiot? I mean, he doesn't even have to justify, they all come up with justifications themselves, but I just like straight up, he's an idiot. Which is funny because in a lot of instances he's like, he himself is kind of an idiot, so, but he himself could probably figure out some stuff that you probably just think, not are stupid, but they are actually clever, or, he's kind of around people who overthink a lot of stuff, so you can probably tell when people are overthinking stuff in general, or at least he's trying to. Also, his moment where he's like, I believe it was in a light novel where it was said that I was actually considering like stopping the whole attack and war, but then the nobles killed Zenek, and then brought his hat, and he was like, all right, that's good. Or take them to Painkiller. Make sure that she doesn't do it quickly. Make it slow, so you can tell his rage. The anime didn't do it the best way because the anime cut off him considering maybe changing, but you still kind of get the aura. Like, just stuck. Good. Give the body a proper rest. The armor. Send it back tent. Good. We'll collect it rest later. Give it a proper burial. Or take them to New Year's Painkiller. I just love Lions. He is the best. He's in my top 5. Lord Ozai. Alright, I think we can all agree that Lord Ozai is... Alright, I think we can all agree that Lord Ozai is not that iconic of an antagonist. Like, he is the Fire Lord, like, he's the guy who we've been building up throughout the entire series, but he's by no stretch of the imagination anyone's favorite avatar where he's not really the face. His daughter obliterates him, knocks him out of the water, and spits at him. That's how the big of the difference is between the two characters. And Lord Ozai is a very serviceable final boss antagonist. Nothing special, nothing really to write home about, just a decently cool aura farmer. And that's about it. And a cool final battle. But that, again, nothing else. Then we have Chef Pepperjack, who is a member, who is from Skylanders and a member of the Doom Raiders. And I'll be honest, he's probably like one of my least favorite members of the Doom Raiders. Not saying that he's bad, it's just he's nothing particular. He's, I guess, kind of like the I don't know if I would really call him like the like street man, but I don't know, he's just sort of very bland as a member. He doesn't really stick out to me in my mind, and he's just sort of present a lot of the times, so I gotta have to put him very low. Yeah, I can't really say much about him. He's just there as a member. Alright, Diamondback. Now, this is like the biggest, like, biggest difference between comics and actual adaptations, because Diamondback in the comics is a way more fleshed out character than she's in any media that she has appeared in so far. I mean, not very difficult, but there's like a lot of stuff. Like, one thing is, she actually has a full backstory where how she ended up becoming Diamondback with her single mother, her 3 brothers, how they die, well, how did 2 of them die, what happened to them, how she ended up becoming what she is. Then there's the whole, and makes you kind of very feel bad for her. Then she isn't just like a random member that's like a face of the Super Society. She actually is a character with her own motivations and her own goals, which is, to be fair, banging Captain America. But still, the way they do it is way more like flirting, but Captain America isn't really like proceeding things the way she would expect him. But regardless, she does end up, but she does love him enough to a point that she does put a stop to the villainy, and she does do some hero work. But she doesn't betray her comrades, which is actually why the trial is about, because King Cobra wants to look like a strong leader, so he thinks Diamondback would be like a good scapegoat to show, see, I did not think that she just think that leave her be because she left the organization. She already revealed information about us, and that is a crime in the Super Society. But Diamondback is loyal to her friends, most probably because she has actually 2 good friends, being Black Mamba and the Asp. But she tells that, I did not do it, I did not reveal any information, I've just been helping him against crimes and all that. But they didn't take it, so they ask to save, so Black Mamba asks her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend Cyber to save her. He does save her, but she wants to save Ass and Black Mamba, because you have to be dumb not to know that they were involved in Diamondback's escape. They do have the whole rescue operation. She even offers herself to one low-ranking hero as an extra manpower. And then, because Captain America is horrible at telling what he actually means to do, because to Diamondback, the way he talks makes it sound like he wants to arrest Black Mamba and the Asp as well, but she doesn't want to. But she will not betray her friends, so she and her friends just go to make Bad Girls Inc., which is kind of a weird name when you think about it in multiple levels, but whatever. But yeah, Diamondback is a great character in the comics, although for some reason in the Marvel comics she's more of a face of the Super Society, so she's put into the group for some reason. And I think they even like destroy their friendships a bit with Asp and Black Mamba making fun of her or teasing her about stuff. It's kind of a weird thing there, but modern comics are generally considered downgrades from the older comics, despite the wackiness of older stories. So it's kind of gettable and understandable that they turn them into a fucking cult. I think enough. I'm saying enough when they turned a serpent society into a cult. What people were drinking when they come up with that idea is beyond me. So yeah, Diamondback is a very serviceable antagonist there. Her adaptations, on the other hand, can leave much to be desired, since she only appeared in Marvel's Avengers Next Generation, where she was just in one episode for a clothes stealing scene, and she doesn't get her clothes stolen. There's like a shapeshifter who just transforms into her. Then she appears in Disc Wars, where she's just one of the bads who fights there. At least she's there, not just a token in the game. And then they cut her scene in the newest Captain America movie. So yeah, that's about it for adaptations. Like, Serpent Society really needs better adaptations. And while we're in the Serpent Society, we have another one, and that's Rattler from another member of the Serpent Society. And just like Cottonmouth and the Bushmaster, he's just their antagonist. He's kind of muscle of the group, where he has like a electronic tail that sends lightning and all, but again, he's really nothing. I can't really say much more about him. He's just the muscle. So yeah, and also he's like one of the ones whose backstory isn't really fully fleshed out. Although there's also that whole like where he got it. Like, it's not even explained where he got his powers from, for God's sakes. But yeah. Anyways, then we have Sekko from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5. Alright, so Sekko, he's a member, a team up with Chocolata, and he and his partner are basically just meant to be like the most irredeemable and scumbaggy villains in existence. And his big thing is, at first you kind of think that he's like a mental person, and Chocolata like did something to turn into an animal, into his private little dog, because that's how he was basically being treated, like a dog. But then when Chocolata dies, or Sekko at least thinks that Chocolata dies, Sekko reveals that he actually did not have love for Chocolata or anything. He basically just saw an easy life. He can be cruel and torturous to people, and he'll get treats for it. That's about it, where he is more or less truly comes from. And this is like one of those like discussions, like, is Sekko worse because he just did it for the sake of doing it? Because Chocolate at least had like a mentally insane reason why he would do the awful experimentations and doctor work that he did. So which one of the two is worse? And yeah, Sekko is could be considered worse by it, and he's also considered to be could be considered stronger because his power does not require Chocolata, but Chocolata does require his power, because because the whole aptitude decline, which only really works with Sekto's ability, because unless it's like something like actively going up, it's very unlikely it will actually matter in a proper sense. So yeah, Sekko. So yeah, that's Sekko for you. And he was also a very entertaining antagonist, but about it. Like, he's just meant to be pure evil that gets like us a very long punching sequence from. Well, no, I don't think it's that long, because he fought against Bruno, not Jono, but still it's a very decent, satisfying defeat. Alright, Silvermane. One of Spider-Man's gangster villains. Similar. I'll just put Silvermane with Black Mask. Like, I can't even like try to like pretend to actually think deeply into it, because like, the two of them are basically not the same, but the two of them basically fill the same role. Just one of them upstairs that's in charge. Not the how much of a control they have is depending on how much of a mafia its placement is, but he's just sort of there. His adaptations are mostly just bland and not uninteresting. But for some reason, he's still the member and he's at least usable enough. I mean, he appeared in the original animated series where they adapted his story where he got turned into a child and I think de-aged himself to death or whatever. He's a character who has like who dies like 100 times but is somehow always coming back. He appears in Spectacular Spider-Man. He also appears in I think one video game, maybe a couple of video games. I'm not exactly certain. And then he also appeared in 2016 or 17's version where he also probably had like the worst design out there. Like at least in the animators, he had like just looked like an old man, but this now it was just like a random. Okay, then we got Millark from Symphogear, and well, a lot of people hate Millark because of what she did and the trauma sword that she caused. I actually do like her. She was a very fun character, her like wrestling way of combat and her vampiric powers. Like she served as an antagonist, although she did negatively affect herself and companions with the whole like attack on the concert hall and with all the murder and all that, and generally the amount of pleasure she kind of took or from killing people. I do wonder if some of the pleasure came from being a vampire because of the blood loss or something, but I don't think that was directly stated. But yeah, I think she's a fine character. She's nothing special as an antagonist. Then we have the Tar Monster from Scooby-Doo. I think it's like All-Star or something. And I like the Tar Monster. It was definitely a monster from my childhood. And I definitely feel like from the glob type monster, this probably has like the best look in my opinion. Like there's a lot of like reuse assets, but I think the glob monster probably stands out a lot more. Although I do have to feel like this might just be like a natural evolution of glob monsters because I don't know. I feel like the glob monsters was like first one was like because we had glob monsters in the first series or at least second season of the first series. Then I think we have a few, one in the movies with the blobs, the kind of blobs, but then we had I think a few others with a few others as well in the All Stars. But I think Thomas in my opinion had like the most best looking. I can totally see why the animators for the movies chose it because it definitely had like the most striking appearance. Alright, then we have Mael for Seven Sins. I'm surprised so many Seven Sins villains I have this in this video. Mael. I'll be honest, I really don't care about Mael. Maybe it's because of my uninterest towards holy bosses, but holy villains. But Mael was just not that interesting of a character to me. I get the whole fallen angel static. I get what he's meant to be. It's just I didn't really care about him that much, and then when he did turn good, he was just there. I don't really care about him. I mean, he kind of had aura when he was like first introduced, with him whole like just sitting there, but then like a bird landed on his mantle, but then become a grotesque monster that blew up was fun. Like he definitely had style at the beginning or in the second season, but then an aura, but then after Ascanor like beat the shit out of him, he felt like he generally got downgraded into basically just being the insane fallen angel parody. Alright, anyways, then we have Maloney from JoJo, and yeah, I generally like Maloney. I like his design. I like his stand being this like related to giving birth by creating a new opponent that is supposed to be a challenge. Although this does make me kind of wonder, what does Maloney do with these stands when they grow fully old? Do they just die quickly as well? Is that like a possibility? I don't know if it's stated, but like, because like when you think about it, if he's supposed to be an assassin, he must have used his ability beforehand, right? Although to be fair, you could also make a case that maybe he just used his ability in a tracking sense, and he was supposed to like find information, because if you find information about the boss, then he would be able to like find a route towards him, and that's how he kind of went up against and that's how he kind of went up against a few of the characters. That's how he went against the JoJo's group, because he had like a map where he could see where they were heading for. So yeah, he was fine. I do think he was like a cool enough character, especially when he was like talking about why all the lady was panicking, and he was like the baby was learning it so it could manifest. When he'd be like, after all, mother knows best. Oh no, her teaching was way too good. It's a good thing she taught the important nature of killing, but she did it way too soon. And then the guy just stole his bike and run off. And Smash was like, wait, it's too soon. And then he was like, he couldn't really do anything. Which is kind of funny to think that he just abandoned the daddy. So yeah, also his dad about the snake is kind of funny as well. Yeah, at least elaborate ways to kill cows, but then you just have a snake bite to the tongue. Anyways, then we have Dante Zogratis from Black Clover. And he falls to me in a similar tier as Muscular, where he served his purpose, but he wasn't really anything to right, but nothing else. And honestly, in Dante's case, I definitely feel like Tabata kind of went a little too much in using him as a certain purpose. You know, like his fight against Yami and Asta was supposed to just be a high diff fight, nothing else, nothing more. His fight against Magma was supposed to be like Magma's story about even someone with the lowest can beat someone with the strongest. So honestly, his whole loss at Magma felt kind of like plot contrivance. And I am still not entirely convinced there isn't some kind of time or shenanigans going on, because I find the whole, like, are you really telling me that the first thing Dante would think is just, you people with PR magics, you can attack all of your, you can waste all of your magic on me, I will just be able to handle anything, just go, like, I don't know, I just feel like this has to have been like a specific timeline or something to have been chosen. But anyways, that's Dante, probably the biggest meme. Honestly, he's almost turning into like Buggy in terms of being like, in terms of like a meme character, but is not, because like, you know, Tabata's cap is on that meme-ish. The fifth brother from Star Wars Rebels. I'll be honest, I kind of get the impression like the fifth brother is actually might be one of the fan favorites amongst the Star Wars Rebels, because for some reason they seem to like keep using him in minor roles. I mean, not doing anything spectacular, it's just in the Darth Vader comics, he was the one who rat out the two lovers in the Inquisitorius. In one of the tie-in books for the with the Carl story or whatever it was called Battlefront or something. I'm not entirely certain the names of the video games. He was said to have been chasing Carl around, and the reason why the point of his helmet is. Then in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, he's the one that's chosen to appear there. So he might be a liked character in the Star Wars Rise room or something, or maybe there's some kind of joke or something. I don't really know, because honestly, he's probably like one of the blandest and the most boring characters amongst the Star Wars Rebels. It's probably like the one who's the reason why the Inquisitors are kind of being viewed like more the jokes. I mean, he and the Seven Sister both feel like kind of like a Monster of the Week thing, but he especially feels like a Monster of the Week thing. So, yeah. He is just nothing special. Alright, then we have Hazel from Ruby, and I'll be honest, I like Hazel's design and all, but his story feels kind of a little underdeveloped and underexplained a bit. Like the whole, like, his sister Gretchen dies and he wants revenge. I mean, guys, they did reveal in Volume 8, I believe, that he did confront Salem. He did want to finish her off, but every time he fought her, every time he killed her, she just kept on coming back. So despite him being able to like handle the parent, like in this shot, like filling him full of dust crystals to like power through and beat her down, he couldn't really do much of anything. So, but I guess after some long periods of times of fighting, Salem was able to convince them that the only way to stop the cycle is for Ospen's mission and everything to die, and I guess since he couldn't really do anything against Salem, he decided to send his hatred towards Ospen. So yeah, it has been kind of wonder if Ospen and Hazel ever fought against each other, because like Ospen thought like he kind of fought, or at least knew Hazel how powerful he was, so it's kind of a thing which I don't think the rest of the group knew, because none of them really seem to react in that manner towards Hazel. But I don't really know. There's like I feel there's generally little to me, not much unexplained about these certain characters, but whatever. Anyways, then we have to the final four with Ron from Come Got Kill, who honestly has to be like one of the most unlucky characters amongst the Jaegers, because in the anime they essentially just kept them like flying around, and even his like fight is just sort of a background noise fight. I mean, he survived the actual. He survived the actual story in the anime, which is more than I can say about the manga. But he just didn't really do much of anything, just existed. And then in the manga, if we go for that, they do actually give him more of a character, more of an explanation about he's not just like a butler or something thing there. He's actually not have a motivation, like he wants to reform the Empire, but he wants to do it from within a different matter. There's the Night Raid, which is also brought up in the anime, but it's sort of like a quick dialogue thing, like, oh my god, I guess we should find out what the deal is with Ron. So yeah, Ron is sort of just sort of there as an Ron is just there for the most. But then we meet the character who actually did, because he was first a teacher in a school. The students all died or got killed by someone, and what we learn who the person is later, probably some other things. And then Ron finds out he finds out that the Wild Hunts member is actually one of them, and then he, after some research, found out how depraved they are and wants to get rid of them. So he wants to go deal with them solo, which the members of Raha thought he would just want to join them, because at that point the members of Jaegers were just four now, with Astaff at the time being somewhere else. But Ron was just using that to get to the better of them, but unfortunately for him, he underestimated how much they can really handle, and probably not being as much of a killer as the rest of the people involved. I mean, from the group that was present, probably like he was at least killing like an informed member. But anyways, they did, thanks to Night participating in there, because Wahyan was making a message they'll fight them. They were able to kill two of their members while one was put into a comatose state. But while they want to kill Jaegers as well, because Ron and Komi were too hurt to properly fight back, while Night Raid was mostly fresh. Ron instead just used his powers to get him and Kurumi out, but then he wasted so much of his power that he was actually dying. But then he wanted to say goodbye, but then Kurumi just killed him, because then he'll be with her forever and ever. Which he then at that point realized that the Empire cannot be sent reformed, because if they are gonna turn such a sweet girl like Kurumi in this state, then it's far gone. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Wave from Come Got Kill. So Wave, honestly, I really like Wave. He was a very fun like contrast with like the Tatsuki, but from the Jaeger side. You can probably question how much of a villain he is. I would not be surprised if he would be. I should probably consider him more as like protagonist, especially as I do consider similar characters to him more definitive. But I think putting him in this group makes sense, especially since he does oppose the main characters a few times. While he doesn't really do like evil actions, he does participate in them, and ultimately taking down any Night members that could be considered a village action. And he did beat the shit out of Tatsuki in the first encounter. But yeah, anyways, Wave was a fun character. I like how he was kind of the more standard main protagonist character, but not like he's there to be like oh, look at how the main characters are, insulting way, like how some series would do it. But they unfortunately but well, the anime kind of went that route with him. Them saying, now, if you don't know what you're fighting for, then there's no reason for you to be here or something like that. But by the manga, he's handled better, and he's a funny character, though I do kind of feel like they wasted a little too much time on him being like easily beaten, because in the manga, I think they maybe beaten. He's just always like thrown around. Everyone constantly run away from him. It's just kind of a weird little thing, but I do kind of get the joke there, but still. Anyways, now we get to the final two. And the penultimate one is Fukurokuju from One Piece. Do I need to explain that? Like, do I need to? I mean, the dude is just there. He's, for some reason, involved in backstories, even though that literally barely gets delved into. Then, for some reason, he's loyal to Orochi till the, I'm guessing Ant? Like, I don't know, is he that? I mean, he was engulfed with fire completely, so I'm guessing he was killed, but to be fair, I think at that point, Raijo set on the water, so you could make a case that his body just gave up from the damage before he got burnt to death. He could have survived, but I don't really know. Like, he's just there. It's not even like a thing where he has some cool techniques. Like, everything about him is goofy. Like, there's nothing. Like, usually at least there's a certain balance between the character's goofiness and seriousness. But one, his seriousness is not really fully explained. His loyalty to Orochi isn't really explained why. And he's just there. And then we get to the final villain of the video with Admiral Zhao? That's how you say his name, right? Zhao? He was the Admiral, right? Honestly, I can't remember much of him, which is kind of ironically perfect, because because his main motivation was kind of become famous, but ultimately no one really remembers him, just being kind of spirit in the spirit world, wondering, do you know what my name? I was Admiral Zhao. But ultimately no one really cares, and honestly, kind of is a perfect ending for him, because I don't really think he's anyone's memorable. Like, if you know him, it's probably because he's just the main villain of the first season of the anime and the TV series. But in general, he's just a very bland character. I mean, I guess there was like that, like, I mean, he does have like some awe-farming moments, like when he kills the spirit fish, or when he like refuses Zuko's hand, and then the anime Kai with Zuko is definitely a very memorable scene. And even like the little like joke scene where like one of the Water Tribe members wants to assassinate him, but then when he reveals himself, Zo just casually like notices him with his legs. That's a very funny scene, but it's like, nothing real that special about him. He's just sort of there as a he's just sort of there, so I can't really put him much more than E. He's just very bland. Like, I know that characters in Avatar don't have like such super outlandish designs, so it doesn't really matter, but even the design itself is just like very just kind of random. And yes, anyways, this is my list of 100 villains that we've been ranking it here. I feel this video is going to be even longer than the previous one, but we'll see later. Anyways, I hope you like this video. I hope you leave your thoughts on the villains rankings in the comments below. If you want any villains that you want to see ranked as well, leave it in the comments below as well. So yeah, anyways, I hope you like this video. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all of you mortals next time. Goodbye.